Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have your doubts, not what I'm about, have your fucking cloud, it be raining now, I keep making sound, go another round, bitch I'm legend bound, can't stop me now. You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. 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 Anything negative, cause I just wanna hear it out your mouth, yeah. Give me fuel, it's a tool that I use to go ahead and run my fucking mouth, yeah. I take shots, I take loss, I make shots, I miss lots. That's how you get big boss, you get yachts, you swing lots and pop off a big shot. I ain't done chasing, got big dreams, bigger things, impatient. Who's at the top think they need replacement? Who's at the top think I'm gonna erase it? Face it, I don't give up quick, I don't give up shit, I won't give up this. Cause I know that I want it, know that I'm on it, I'll make it, I promise. You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can.
Contractors over to you to overseas.
We live.
They wasn't sending them over to.
Yo, what's up, everybody?
What's up, everybody?
Welcome to the Late Show on an Impromptu Truth. It might sound a little weird because I got a mic sitting in the center of the table, but we are joined by a bunch of Nightmare Nation people right now, and it's awesome to see everybody. Guys, want to go around the table and introduce yourselves?
Hey, I'm Braden McKee, everybody.
Braden from Trat. Got Mr. Vault Keeper here.
Yeah, it's Vault of Nightmares here.
Miss Cat.
Miss Chris Cat here.
Dave Wilcutt here. John Bell, formerly from Dogman Caves.
Can you say that again? Who's here with us?
Say it a little louder. Say it a little louder, please.
John Bell, formerly with Dogman Caves.
What was that show about?
Tim Nerd, folks.
And then we got Bassett over here. So what's going on, everybody? You guys go ahead and sit and chat. We're just going to listen to the bullshit.
Well, we were talking about the ambassador from Syria.
Yeah. Can you repeat what you had said, John?
Yeah, so there was an ambassador. I found a video of an ambassador from Syria when tensions between the U.S. and Russia were real hot with all of, them trying to remove Assad, right? And so this ambassador goes before the UN and he says, I am begging you that you stop the United States from using genetically modified soldiers in war zones in our country. And what he's saying is non-human soldiers. That's what that means.
Yep.
And that's why he's not caring about just, some simple troops. He's caring about these beasts that are tearing their people apart. Then later, I also found Putin in a speech he was given in Russia where he said, one of the greatest threats facing our world right now are genetically modified soldiers.
We got somebody else joining the show here. You wanna hold on when you get around here. We're live.
We're live.
Yeah, you want to tell your name?
Michelle Burns.
How you doing? Welcome to the show. Everybody just continue chatting what you're doing.
Yeah.
If there's a question in chat, I'll throw it out there.
Now about the genetically modified, the things they do with you. Now, what if that goes and say your kids? What will that do to them?
That is a great question.
And your kids join the military and they get boosters. It's going to keep going down.
All right.
The line.
I can answer that. Because I had kids after this, both my kids got weird traits. Lethal is my oldest one. Lethal weighs about 250 pounds and he's solid freaking muscle. He looks like he's almost as big as Tank. He curls 150 pounds. That's what he curls with. He took a job, him and his girlfriend, they're hauling freight. He loaded a transmission by hand. He picked it up, walked over, and set it in the van. It was for a Dodge 350 manual transmission. He picks it up, walks over, and puts it in the back of the van.
That's the answer.
Because they weren't going to give them the load.
They wasn't going to give them the load
they
because
didn't have the dolly to load it.
the forklift had went down, so they couldn't load it.
Yeah.
So my Lethal tells him, he goes, give her the paperwork, I'll load it. He goes, you can't. The two other guys had just walked over and tried to pick it up. He walks over, grabs the cake, picks it up, walks over and loads it in the van.
Mm-hmm.
My youngest one, he didn't get the same traits, but he got the speed. The other thing is, like knives. John can tell you, John's met him. It ain't a pistol you got to worry about with him. He carries at least 9 knives on him
I
at
was
all
going
times.
to say he had 9 knives when I met him. 9.
Yeah.
He showed them to me.
Where do you stash 9 knives?
Oh, he had them all on him.
Anywhere you can.
This is the thing. From here to that guy right there, he can stick all 9 of them in you.
I tell you, in the State Police Academy, when they show you the film on edged weapons,
Yeah.
that's the
21
scariest
feet.
film I ever saw outside of cryptids.
21 feet. The rule of thumb is if I have a weapon, if I have a knife in my hand, you cannot get your gun out of your holster if I'm 21 feet away from you before I can stab you.
And you can pull a knife out of anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
21 feet. If you're moving quick, that's not.
Well, that's like nobody would be expecting. I got a full-size knife here. Then I got a crop right here.
I got a crumb.
I went
Then I got this.
I went to a
I got a plastic butter knife.
I'm sure you got like 4 more.
There's my crumbit.
Yeah. That's the same one that was developed for the Navy SEALs.
This was Ernest Emerson developed for, I believe, SEAL Team 6.
Yeah.
Somewhat like a bear claw, the hook and
Yeah. Like that. Well, see, if I put that on, there's 2 things. You can't get that away from me now. I can open my hand, I can do whatever.
Mhm.
Now, if I turn this,
Yep.
it breaks your brass knucks.
Is that double-sided?
Yes.
Yeah, this is double-sided on both sides. That way, if I punch, I can hook you, I can grab, I can do whatever I want.
Here, so I got a question. Since I got 2 knowledgeable people here right now, Mr. Bell and Mr. Walt, what's your opinion on the dogman creatures? What do you think? What do you think they really are?
I don't think all of them are dogmen. I think some of them, this is my opinion. My opinion varies like his opinion varies. I think some of them are natural. What I mean by that's the dire wolf stuff. The ones like I had an encounter with, I think it was genetically modified, and I think it was trained. Then you got some that, what I call the hoo-hoo factor. I believe those date back to the Native American times where you had a shapeshifter. The first shape they learn to turn to is a wolf or coyote. That's the first shape they learn. That's the first thing. I think some of them sometimes can do so much stuff they get stuck like that. Now that's my opinion. The other thing is, from what I was told, he's been told some of the stuff. They're not. Some of these are not Canaan. They're part baboon, part Squatch, and part human DNA. I can't prove that, but the stuff that he told me all matches out. And you take a look at a picture of what's the name of that baboon? Is there a baboon species? I can't remember. It stands about 4 foot tall, and they're mean little son of guns. These things will attack lions, will attack hyenas on purpose.
Don't they call them like the lion killers or something?
Yeah,
like
they
that?
call them the lion killers. Now, you take something like that, you genetically modify it with squatch DNA and human DNA thrown in there for intelligence. What do you get? If you take some of the accounts where people draw out what they saw, you take a picture of this baboon, they look so much, it looks a lot more like a baboon than it looks like a dog. I can't tell you that's the whole thing. There's not enough known. There is no experts, and I hate that freaking word, especially in the cryptic field like this. There are no experts. We know enough less to fill the cap of that bottle right there with squatch, much less dogman. That's my opinion. Now, that's my opinion. Now, John has researched the biblical side of these dogman creatures. It can go back. She's researched the biblical stuff. Now, these things go back all the way to what was the saint that Saint Christopher.
Big dog. Yeah.
Yeah. So you think they just pulled that out of their butt?
Exactly. Why would they depict him with a head of
It's not. Look, you got to look at some of these ancient stories. They start out with a grain of truth because they didn't tell fantastic stories to scare each other like that back then.
Like the race of cynocephalite, the dog.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes.
Like I said, that's the whole thing you got to remember. That's like native lore. Natives didn't write stuff down. They told it like we're sitting around now. Now, some of the stories may have been embellished to put like, a warrior more in light or whatever. But you got to remember the basis of the story. That's what you want to look at. John's done that instead because John has studied. How many years did you study to be a priest?
I'm 1 year away from technically being able to be ordained.
Yeah.
So it's like almost the program I was in is like almost 14 years at least.
You're Jesuit?
It was a Jesuit program I started off in, but I studied theology, philosophy, went to Rome, and worked on the licentiate in Rome. Only finished half of that. But yeah, and then after that, here's the thing though, a lot of the stuff you're referring to is not taught in any seminary or any theology school. And so I started doing my own studies on pre-flood biblical time periods. And that's not something that's really taught in the church. So it's kind of a gray area as far as they're concerned. They just don't touch that. But if you study the research, it's all there. And it all talks about what happened and explains what happened. And it's all basically off the book of Enoch. And Protestants have done a lot more research on this than Catholics have. Because like I said, Catholics tend not to touch this stuff. But there was a Protestant minister one time named Chuck Missler, who I really respect.
Oh, wonderful teacher.
Yeah, I love Chuck Missler. He passed
really
away.
went deep.
Yeah. He said one time that the book of Enoch is actually a Rosetta Stone for understanding the entire rest of the Bible. And the more I've read and studied and researched, the more I agree with what Chuck Missler said. You have to understand the Bible in context of, in light of, and the view of the book of Enoch. And essentially in the book of Enoch, in a breakdown of that, it tells about there were fallen angels that came down from heaven, and they were jealous of humanity and our ability to have wives and have children. So they left their former estate and they took human wives, and through unnatural means, they created children. And those children became known as a race called the Nephilim. And in Genesis chapter 6, with Stephen Quayle and L.A. Marzulli have built a fantastic career on, is talking about Genesis chapter 6. And they've got Genesis 6 Productions, and they've done a phenomenal job with that. But what happened is they created this race of children, which were cannibalistic giants known as the Nephilim, which is spoken of in Genesis chapter 6, where it says that the sons of God found the daughters of men attractive. And they came and took wives such as their choosing. And the Nephilim walked on the earth in those days and after. And most scholars agree that the distinction in time between then and after was the Great Flood. And what happened is, here's something that people don't know from this, even ones that study it, and that is the Nephilim, with the help of the fallen angels, created another race, another species. And that species was called the chimera. And the chimera was the mixing of human and animal DNA to create basically nightmare creatures, which is where we get the whole concept of Greek mythology from, basically. So centaurs, minotaurs, mermaids, all that stuff was real. And the way that the devil he hates the fact that mankind was created in the image and likeness of God. So he wants to recreate humanity in his own image and likeness, which is twisted, which is perverted, all right? So they started a gene therapy program, okay? Does that sound familiar?
Mhm.
They started a gene therapy program to contaminate the entire human race until finally God had enough and he started a war amongst the giants that became known as the Clash of the Titans. Now, Rob Skiba did a lot of work on that, and I was trying to get him on my show until he got COVID and died right before coming on my show. But what happened is then God created the flood to wipe off the rest of the giants. But then giants started to return after that. In the Bible, you have Og, king of Bashan. Og, king of Bashan's recorded in the Bible as having a bed that was made of iron so it could hold his weight. And it was 13, 14 feet long because that's how tall he was. Then everyone knows the story of David and Goliath. And some people say Goliath wasn't that big. Well, yes, he was. A normal hoplite spear weighs 2.5 pounds that a soldier would fight with so that they could wield it in battle and so that they can throw it like a spear. Well, Goliath weighed over 300 pounds. So that gives you some idea. His sword was collected by King David, and it was 6 feet long and weighed an enormous weight itself.
And haven't they claimed to find swords even larger than that?
Oh, they've claimed to find all kinds of axes, all kinds of stuff.
Now, what's your
tools.
thought on the ones, tall as the cedars? You know,
Right.
They're saying 200 or so feet. That is like.
Okay, so there's a first century historian named Josephus Fabius, or I think I'm butchering that. But anyway, people understand, get the idea where I'm going. But I think it's Josephus Fabius. He's a recognized first century historian by Catholics and Protestants. And I've got his book at home, which is this thick. And he tells a story that in the old city of Jerusalem in the first century, they had a skeleton on display. It was horizontal on the ground because they couldn't put it together like we would dinosaurs, right? But he said it was a skeleton of 100-foot tall person, 100 feet tall.
And wasn't it in Jerusalem?
It was in the old city of Jerusalem on
Yes.
display like a museum piece. Right?
Didn't he say it was 100 units?
That's possible. Yeah, it's
And see, I'm wondering if their units were different. It is different than a foot,
right.
which would
I
make
thought
Well,
a
it.
cubit was like the length from your elbow to your tip.
But
of your,
it depended on the
I'm not
king.
sure.
It
I don't know
depended on
about
the king.
The point is it was
That's true.
enormously.
Yeah.
It wasn't like just a giant. It was an enormous giant. That was the point.
Anybody?
And like the structures that you see that look like
Right.
huge petrified, like the youths laying down,
That's
or
right.
a footprint.
That's
or,
right.
It's like
That's right.
It's
You're on to it.
mind-boggling.
Well, y'all know about the giant skeletons been finding caves around here.
Oh yeah, we've got that a lot in Missouri. Of course, the
Oh, yeah.
Smithsonian gets a hold of them.
Oh, they come up gone.
Look at the 18 and 1900s of film
Exactly.
of
Articles.
article fish,
They're full of it.
and there are thousands and thousands of giants found in North America alone.
Yes. Yes.
But it's all covered up, and now today people don't have a consciousness of that.
They've dumbed us down to the point. Like, here we've got a conference like this in Western Land. We're very open-minded people. You speak to someone about this, and they're like, what? They just give you the stink eye like you're just nuts. But if you do your homework and maybe step outside that box.
That's it. And I get in arguments with people all the time that are like, John, you're full of crap. And I'm like, well, you know what? Take the years of research I'm done compared to your
I don't believe it.
Look
Yeah.
at America's Stonehenge. Have you looked into that?
Oh, yeah, that's fascinating.
Isn't that in Ohio? Have you seen that?
And
No.
the snake mounds.
Yes.
Yes,
Now,
all of that.
That's
Yes.
interesting. You have the snake mounds in Ohio, right?
Mhm.
Here's my theory. In the book of Enoch, it talks about how one of the lead fallen angels named Samzaza, and I'm probably also crucifying that, but
I think you're right.
Samzaza.
I think you're right.
Right.
So he had a son that was a giant Nephilim named Ohi, okay? And it was Ojai that went to him and said that God forced a vision on him. I believe, through some of the sources I read, and I can't even remember where to go back and find this, so don't ask for source, but I believe that he was buried in the Serpent Mounds, and that's where the name Ohio came from. And I told that
that's
to
where the America Stonehenge was found. L.A. Marzulli.
right.
came
I
up
told
with
that to a trooper buddy, and he does a Google search in 1 second, says that's not true.
Google, because it's on Google.
It was
it's
yeah,
true.
like a Google search compares to actual research, right? But anyway, so he says no, it was the American Indians that called it the Ohio River, and that's what they named it Ohio. And I said, yeah, but where do you think they got the name from?
Yeah.
Go back another
Yeah.
step.
Exactly. Go
People
yeah,
can be
exactly.
so close.
But
What
those
you're
are
talking about, I grew up around squatches. I thought until I was 18, everybody knew about it. Everybody knew about it. I go to boot camp and I thought we're out one. Like I said, I told this story last night on my channel. When you get to boot camp, it's not like what every year instructor told me, what your recruiter told you it's going to be. Like I said, it is a shock. Well, we're sitting out one night because we got in trouble and we were moving sand. Well, these two owls start going off, and they're like, "Man, I ain't never heard owls that loud." I was like, "That ain't an owl, dude. That's a booger." Dude looked around at me like, "What?" He said, "That's a booger." And they're like, "What are you talking about?" I said, I think y'all call them Bigfoot, squatches, or something like that. I said, "We call them boogers." He's like, "You believe in that?" I was like, "What do you mean do I believe in it?" That's what that is.
Yeah.
I said, owls don't go on the end of their call. The other thing is, an owl does a specific call, depending on what kind of owl. Like a barn owl, woo, woo, woo. Squatches will try to mimic that, but they usually get it wrong. The third one is way longer, and it's got like a woo
Yeah.
on the end of it.
Like a warble.
Yeah,
Yeah. Warble.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what this was doing. And that was probably laughing at our ass out there having to move this damn sand from right here to over there. Anyway, they're like, "You believe in it?" I'm like, they're looking at me like I got a third arm growing out my head. I'm like, "Yeah, what do you mean do I believe in it? They're real." That's when I figured out that everybody doesn't know about squatches.
Right.
And then there's you got people that are making these fakeness stuff that does nothing but hurt. Like the skull that was found by
That was ridiculous.
I did a show on it, and like I told people, I don't know. But what I know is this: they did a good job of faking it because what I saw made me believe.
He's talking about that recent Bigfoot skull.
And
That
Coyote.
the guy brought
Yeah.
back
Coyote
the
Brown. It fooled
That
me.
dude,
And
fuck.
when I
That's
found
a
out,
whole
that.
lot of
That's
damage.
what's-
yeah, when I found out, I put him right there along with, I call him the junior Rick Dyer.
Yeah.
I call him Junior Rick Dyer because I did a show about him. I told everybody I got food like everybody else. He come out and said it was fake. I got teed about it because all you did was hurt this industry.
Absolutely.
You carry, like I said, in 20 years, y'all think of where it's came. In 20 years, the researching of squatches has not really progressed anywhere.
Nope, that's right.
And I can tell you why, because I'm guilty of it. It's because you start out, well, what makes this cigarette pack green? Well, you started on that, and then you figure out that question leads you to two more questions, and you forget about what your original question was.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I've shifted my stuff back to where I'm doing a documentary of how I got into what I do. Some of the cases that because Meeting Cat has brought me back to my roots. Why am I trying to get all these HD photos of these things?
We know they're true. We know
Well, the
they're
thing is, I've had thousands of encounters. 90% of the time, I didn't have nothing with me. I wasn't trying to film. I looked like I went out to do one of my shows one night. I told her, I've got on a damn ballistics vest that I've done modified and made a Faraday cage in the chest plate. I've got a helmet on. I got a GoPro on this side. I got a camera here. I got a camera back here. I got a camera in this hand. I got a cell phone sitting here. I've got EMF detectors and everything. I walk by the damn thing. Look, I look like a goddamn fool.
One thing about it, you're having fun doing it.
Hell yeah. I got so wrapped up in it, I was like, if somebody walked up on me in the woods, they would thought I'd done went bonkers. The U.S. is getting invaded. And I was like, and I stopped. I'm like, what am I doing? I've done went so far outside of what I usually do because I got wrapped up in what everybody else was doing. I just stopped. I was supposed to do a show that night. And I just no. It stopped because I'm doing stuff I know not to do. Call blasting. I know not to do that. I'm the one that's been telling everybody don't do that for years. My doofus butt goes out there and call blast. Guess what?
It.
I got hit by it. It's what I think it would, but I don't think it's what everybody thinks it is.
I know that's the way.
What do you think?
It's electrical.
Yeah.
It's like an EMP pulse because
Mm-hmm.
not only did it affect me, it affected 3 other cameras, and it affected them not all at one time. Wherever I moved to, it affected the camera. These cameras they're not wireless. They're hardwired in. That doesn't. It takes a strong. This man here fools with security and systems and stuff like that. You can't affect a hardwired camera in like you can a wireless. Wireless. It takes a strong electrical field to do that. And these cameras were going out because Sean G was on their show. He's like, Vault, the camera's down. What do you mean the camera's down? I'm looking at the camera and the camera's on. But I can see a little red light. He goes, Vault, I want to tell you, I would move from that camera to another camera. Can you see? Well, I could, but it went down too now. I wound up going, I can walk my place blindfolded in the middle of the dark, whatever. We were talking about this last night. I know where I was supposed to be going. I went down and they watched it on
Wasn't
live
that on the
stream.
show? That was live.
Yeah, it was live. See, that's the thing. It's
I
all
saw
live.
that.
During the live stream, they catch something coming out of a tree down and it cuts me off. And I'm talking about it. Yeah, I can see the thing in front of me. So I back up from it because there's a camera in the
When
woods.
you say thing, are you talking orb?
No. This was a creature. It was every bit of.
You
I
can
don't
see
know.
this. You can see it up, like the way the camera was set up. You can see it up in the tree, jump down, and start bounding towards him.
Wow.
Then Truth called out. He's like, "Yo, Vault, something's coming after him." And he put his gun up.
Yeah, I just flipped around and come up on it, and I can see it. I'm like, shit, there's a camera about 50 feet in the woods. And it's a full HD in color night vision cameras. I wanted in front of that camera. So I turned, instead of going that way, I wanted to follow me around to come up behind in the camera. As I come back around, I run into 3 squatches that are watching this thing and watching me. And I'm like, well, I'm not getting in between them.
Okay, so this thing that jumped down. Did you see
live
that?
stream.
Yeah.
What was
That was
Bright, did y'all
Did
see,
you see
did you see that? A bright
Damn
flash
it.
just over the top of those trees.
Yeah,
Really?
another blue one. It was blue again.
Yeah.
See, you're talking
See,
this voodoo
right
over there.
after you saw that
Look
kid
what's
saw,
coming in right there too.
Is that when the kids saw the
right after
thing?
a little while after she saw that kid saw
I'm telling
that
you.
thing
Something
Yeah.
walk out of that
tree.
tree.
Something's attracting some
Well,
meteors
Now
or
that's a
something.
plane.
that's
Oh,
a plane,
no,
but this is
no.
the thing.
No, not what we just saw.
What we just saw was right straight over the trees right there, and it was right over the
And it
top of
was
the
just
tree.
a flash.
It was a flash
Close,
of
you're
blue
talking.
white. Oh yeah, it looked like somebody set off a camera flash. But anyway, like I said, I'm now in between these 3 squatches and whatever this is.
So you don't know what that
I
is.
don't know what this is. This ain't a squatch, and I don't know what the heck it is.
Is it size-wise comparable?
It's about half the size of squatches, but you got to understand, I got something in my backyard. We've measured it. It's 14 foot tall.
Oh,
We've
Yep.
got it. We've
Wow.
got it on. It's all right. There's 2 trees like this. We call it the pillars. It walks out in between both these trees. Sean was live on air when this happened. Sean's the one that caught it. It walks out, so like, oh crap, the camera's on, and it goes back. There's a branch right up here. I've cut all the branches as high up. I know exactly. I told Sean, I said, "Do you realize how tall that is?" He's like, "No." I said, "Watch." I go out there and I walk up. Now this thing, the branch is up here. I'm down here.
you look like a fish.
Oh yeah, I measured. It's 14 foot from the bottom of that from the where it comes off the tree to the ground.
Did you see a form?
Oh yeah, you can see it clear as day. It walks out and then walks back in.
Reptilian?
No, it's a squatch.
It's a squatch.
Oh yeah, it's a squatch. We call it one-eyed weird because
I'll
it's
tell you how-
One-eyed Willie.
yeah,
I'll tell you how clear it was. On just about everybody else's out there's pictures that come up, I have a hard time ever seeing anything. To me, it's always, I can't even see something that I would call
A blob
pareidolia.
squatch.
His photos from his place, I can clearly see. And I can't see, I mean, because, half the time somebody, you'll show me a picture. To you, it's clear. I just can't see it. I'm not putting it together. I don't doubt that there's something there. I don't see it.
Right.
It is very clear.
I go to work at like 4:00 in the morning, so I'll sit there and I will watch the cams from his property, and I've caught eye shine like 10 times, I think, and I sent it right to him like, yo, listen, here it is, screenshot of the eye shine. He's Jurassic Park in his backyard. I don't know.
See, this
what
is
the hell
the
is back
thing.
there.
These people are catching stuff on a live stream camera. There's no way to fake none of this because it's live 24 hours a day. You can grab stuff off of it and send it to me. But this is the thing. I can go and put it side by side. Sean has done this where I'm standing there and this thing's standing there and they superimpose it. Not only is it twice as tall as I am, but it's about twice as wide as I am.
Boss sent me a video where he was standing on his back porch in the middle of the daytime, and there were 3 creatures in the backyard, out from the wood line, just behind trees, peeking out at him and back.
Yeah, I remember when we were doing the live stream that one. It was like the middle of the afternoon, like what, 12:30, and we seen that freaking branch just dancing.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's just sitting there doing like this.
Yep, just
By
right in front of
There's
you,
no other
just-
branches. There's no leaves moving or nothing else. It's just sitting out there waving in the wind just as free as you please.
And more than a couple of times, the cameras have picked up stuff that had been in the trees that you don't see it right off the get,
Yeah.
but it's not whatever the heck it is.
My favorite, y'all,
There
is
is
DW.
something there.
My favorite is DW was doing a show. We had just done the Halloween special, and he was doing a live call-in show, and I called in, talking about it, telling everybody what we're going to be doing on the camera stuff. I'm actually getting ready to go play Xbox with my kids and them. And DW, when he got off to play Xbox, he's going to join us. Well, I hang up, I go in there and I start cooking. We have a big hood that goes straight out. Well, I threw on some elk steaks that a guy had sent me. And they'd probably been on there 5 minutes. DW's live, and all of a sudden you hear loud enough it sounds. I've got my head under a Viking winter hood, and I can hear it sounds like a siren to me. DW's live.
They evidently like the smell of them.
Well, hold on. He didn't just do it once. He did it twice. DW standing there, and he goes, "What the hell is that?"
I remember seeing that one, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it freaked him out. He was supposed to come down the next week. Oh, no.
He's like, oh, hell no.
Oh, he told me, he said, I will never be coming back to you. He said, I will never come to your house. Ever.
Bacon is another
See,
good one.
I would. I'd be like, let's go
Yeah,
sit out on the porch.
You say anything, babe?
No.
Okay.
I did look up, and there's a radio station owns this land, and that's what some of those are. It might have been something off the top of it.
Okay. But that's just one thing we caught. Like I said, this is the thing. Whatever you're catching, it's live. Like I said, I don't understand. Like I said, people have talked about, oh, there's a house up there in the light. I can pull up the property now, and I can show you there ain't no house back there. They've seen it. There ain't no house nowhere near. It
Straight
ain't nothing
shot through the
swamp.
woods for about 5 miles, so you hit that creek.
Yeah. This is the other thing. The night we did the New Year's Eve special, there was a guy that got killed out there on my proproperty. Yeah, some guy snuck out there.
Gunfire off in the distance.
Oh, you can hear automatic.
I believe he was part of that.
He was part of that little group.
Second
Yeah,
GCPRO group.
Killed how?
he was pulled apart.
He broke
Are
apart.
you?
No, ma'am.
Well, what they were,
I was down in the wood line. Cobra, my youngest son, he's back up there. He's running my backup. All of a sudden, Cobra comes down and goes, "There's a guy in the woods, Dad. There's nobody."
Oh man, I didn't get my camera.
What do you see?
SpongeBob.
Oh, she's messing with what's his name. My son doesn't play around, and everybody in that town, John's been there. Everybody knows me. They know not to come out on my place because I shoot first, ask questions
Right,
later.
right.
He comes down and says, "Dad,
Booby
there's
traps.
no, I put booby traps." He said, "Dad, there's a guy out here." I said, "What?" He said, "There's a guy out here," and it was bad enough. Lakea's online. She sends out Lethal, my other son. Then all of a sudden, I'm a deputy sheriff where I'm from, still now. all of a sudden my phone starts going off. You can hear all this on there. This other deputies and my sheriff saying, "Hey, we're fixing to come out there." No, don't come out here. We're already out here. We got a guy out here. I don't need nobody else, coach. Ain't nobody supposed to be here. We start pushing, and all of a sudden, towards where the guys we think where the guy's going to come out at, and all of a sudden you hear pow 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 pow. Gunfire starts erupting. Then you hear a bunch of screaming. So I tell them, I said, back off. Back off.
Screaming?
Oh, yeah, human screaming.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
You can hear somebody getting, you can, not only that, you can hear the gurgling.
There was several, the guy was back there, and there was another group behind them.
Yeah.
And when they started setting off the fireworks, that sent whatever was in the wood line back towards that group. And that's when they got scared and started popping off. And that one guy.
Y'all want to talk about so much
Yeah,
fear?
He just ass out.
Didn't Rolf see? Well, they remote viewed it.
Yeah.
A red truck with blood on the back of it.
Yep. And said the guy.
Well,
Somebody didn't make it out.
there's still an ongoing murder investigation going on. That's the reason why I can't say a whole bunch, but there's still an ongoing murder.
They were
investigation.
shooting large caliber weapons.
Oh, you
could
could
hear
hear
it off in the distance, even through the live stream. Like, yo, dude, somebody's really shooting some big shit back there. What the hell are they shooting? You hear it, pop, 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 pop. pop
This
pop,
is coming
pop.
clear enough through what they're listening to. It's on. I'm live on my cell phone. They can hear it coming through on my cell phone, and then people are picking it up on the cameras from the mics on the cameras. And like I said, there is nothing back there, nothing. And when I say, like I said, John has been there. John seen me try to pull a biker across the counter there. Everybody knows me there. Like I said, they know the cops know me. Like I said, I'm with the sheriff's department. I tried to quit. They still won't let me quit. Like I said, they know not to come out there. Like I said, they started calling me, telling me we're on our way out. No, don't come, because just putting more people in the woods don't help, because we don't know who's where. I know both my kids know how to go through the woods. I know how they're going to react. They know how I'm going to react. We can go through the woods and never say a word to each other and know where we're going. That's because I've taught them and trained them. And when you're out in a field, John can tell you, you don't speak. You reserve all communications. Use hand signals. Pretty much, if your team has worked with each other, you know what everybody's going to do.
Noise and light discipline.
Yeah. So I don't need nobody else out there. Like I said, we were trying to run this guy out to the road so he would be in an open position. If nothing else, get him off my property. It didn't work that way. They cut him off. Whatever was out there, cut him off. This is the thing. I went back out the next day. I found hair out there that I showed on air. You ever seen hair you can't burn? I put that up right in front of the camera. I'm holding the hair, light the lighter, and I'm holding it there.
And it had translucent properties.
This is the other thing. Depending on what kind of light you shined at it, it would disappear. And I'm holding it in my hand.
Sounds like something made in the lab.
Sir?
Exactly.
Sounds like something made in a laboratory.
Well, I can tell you this. The other thing is it had no weight to it. And you couldn't cut it hardly. I would have to take my knife, and like I said, I showed her a while ago, I can take a piece of paper and go, I can shave paper with it. I was having to take my knife and run it back and forth, and then it would break. And this was just a ball that was stuck on the side of a tree where that thing that they saw cut me off. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't a squatch.
That's what my
It
next
was not a
question was
squatch.
gonna
I can tell you that. It was not a squatch. Then about a week later, I let my dog, my ex-wife, Lakeia, and Z had got me a dog to replace Bear, the dog I lost. I'm letting it out to use the bathroom. I just got finished doing a show. All my gear sitting. I took it off and put it in a chair right there. So recliner right by my front door. There's no lights out there. It is pitch black dark if you don't have a light. I'm talking, I live in the woods. I let the dog out, and usually the dog, he runs around, does whatever he's going to do, and he walks off the porch. All of a sudden, he drops his head, he drops his ears, and he's standing straight-legged, and he's pissing everywhere. He doesn't turn. He backs up on the porch and backs up the door. I'm like, what the heck? So I reach over and grab my gun that has a green light. That's why I hate colored lights. It's a green light. And I was like, it must be a coyote or something. I flick it out, and I point it to the direction he was looking. Now the wood line from my front door is just a little further from here to that wall. Excuse me. I flick the light on, and all of a sudden I'm lighting up some kind of freaking creature that's just right in the wood line, and it's got its hands. It ain't paws, its hands wrapped around 2 trees about that big around. And I followed it up, and the head on it looked like a brown bear. That's the first thing come to my head, but the thing is, the teeth that was in its mouth, that's what I focused on. It had double rows of teeth, and I swear to God, they were as long as my finger.
Okay, double rows of teeth.
Yeah, one of the depictions of the Nephilim was double rows of teeth and 6 fingers, 6 toes.
Well, this thing had double hooked teeth for canines coming down. And I swear to God, they were every bit as long as my finger. I focused in on that. Like I said, the head looked like a bear. It was not that big. It was about 7 foot maybe. But the way it was hunched over, it might have been taller. But it wasn't muscular. You know how a track runner muscular is? That's the way this thing was built. This is the other thing. It had a neck because it turned its head like this.
Where the squatches.
Squatches can't turn their heads. Their head sits so far down. When they turn like this, and they have to turn their whole body.
Those squatches wouldn't know that thing.
Well, this is the thing. All of a sudden, when I say this thing, like I said, it's probably, like I said, 25, 40 feet away from me. In between there, it ain't that far. I have an AR that is a 300 blackout, and I'm fire. It's loaded with 240 grain subsonic rounds. I've done kicked the safety off, and I was taking up the tension, and it's a red dot. I'm pointing at its mouth because if nothing else, I'm fixing to take all them gnarly teeth out before he tries to gnaw on me. That was my thought because, like I said, I'm that close. I'm fixing to screw it up. I'm taking up the tension. All of a sudden, down in the wood line, down there from back in the back of where the camera's pointing in what we call the meadow, you hear, this thing turns, looks down there like that, and I stop squeezing because it's done turned its head. And I'm waiting for it to turn its head back around. It starts to turn back around, and then another sound goes off. It lets go of those trees and bounds down in them woods. And it sounds like somebody's taking a motorcycle and just running off to the woods. It's not. The way it took off like it was getting ready to do a long jump. It wasn't a run. It was more like a bounce, like it had a spring.
Spring.
Haven't seen it since. I don't know what the hell it was, but that was right after the call blasting that up. And see, I put in out there a sound that me and my youngest son caught at a property I own we call Zwicky Woods. It's the craziest. Everybody I've done got accused of supposedly getting the sound off this movie and that movie. All I did was catch it on a cell phone. I put it in a program. Now, I wish I hadn't done it. I didn't know back then. When you download a sound from a phone, you can't play it on anything that's in your computer because it's an MP4A. It's not an MP4 or MP3. You have to change it from what it is to an MP3 or MP4. So you're changing what it is. Then I put it in Adobe, and I took out all the background noise, and then I amplified it. So I changed it. That's all I did, exactly that. And it's the god-awfulest sound you ever heard. I'm talking about an open-air sound. I amplified it one time, and it is horrifically loud.
And that was down in Zwicky Woods, right?
Compare. What is that?
Standing right next to a line and it roared.
That was down in Zwicky Woods,
That
right?
was down in Zwicky Woods. Like
and
I
you
said,
caught that wild ass dog print?
Yeah, I've had a bunch of channels say that I took it off of this movie. It's off of Sierra Sound. Or something else. You can go play them and play mine. It sounds close to the same, but it's got different tones at the end. I did, like I said, and then I had people, well, we analyzed. How did you analyze it? We down. involved that turn out to be either something natural that's supposed to be there, or regular, or
mechanical.
However, they do make mechanical sounds.
Oh yeah, they can make. I had one sound on the backside of my sound Helens. I had a squat sound just like a freaking car alarm.
Yeah.
There is no way possible a car could get there, because it took us another day to get to where it was, and you couldn't even chopper it in because of the tree line, and it was up on a ridge. This thing, because we all looking around, what the hell is the park?
So these stories and all these experiences, and then it all still goes back to what John was talking about.
Yeah.
Be explained. So we want to listen to the explanation. We want to look at, biblical terms and.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
When you started looking into this stuff when you were in the seminary, did they have an opinion about it? Did they
No, it was
come out
after.
and say anything?
It was after I left.
Oh.
I was in a religious order, and a guy came to visit us who was a scholar on the Book of Enoch and ancient stuff. And so I started picking his brain about stuff. But I just felt really called for some reason to read the Book of Enoch, and especially that conversation really sparked it in me. I left the community because my parents got cancer, and I went home to take care of them. So while I was taking care of them, I would spend my free time finally studying the Book of Enoch. But not only that, some of the other apocryphal books. One thing that's really weird is you've got Enoch, you've got Jubilees, you've got you have a book called the Book of the Giants. It's in fragments, and then you've got Jasher, right? All of them are missing pieces, but if you superimpose all those together, it gives you almost a complete story. It's almost like one has the keys to the other.
Were the Dead Sea Scrolls part of that also?
Yeah, the Dead Sea Scrolls. Here's something that's crazy about the scrolls at Qumran. Okay, by the way, I went to Israel, and I went and swam in the Dead Sea, right there where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. And the guide on our trip was an archaeologist who discovered one of the caves, and he discovered some of the scrolls himself. So that was really neat.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, I felt really blessed to have that experience. But in Qumran, and these are what were known as the Essenes, right? The group of religious in the first century. Now, scrolls from the Bible were very hard to come by. So, but they had complete fragments that completed most of those books that we still have today. And they've actually compared them and found how exact the wording is even in the Bibles of today compared to that, right? But the number one book they had there that was repeated and copied, that every monk had a copy of, was the Book of Enoch. So why is that? You see what I'm saying? And here's something else you understand. As it was, I'll be again. What does that mean? First of all, you got to understand what was going on in the days of Noah. But it also says, people on the earth are people. You know how they say history repeats itself. So we slowly get to the point where we're repeating history. So, and because of that, the Lord told me one day, evil builds on evil, that builds on more evil, that builds on more evil until it creates real monsters. So what happened is we've come full circle where all that stuff is coming back. The crazy thing is we're the ones that are bringing those things back. I'm sorry to introduce you earlier. I think it was one of those watches. I think they shot one or tried to shoot one. And see, this is the thing for if you're talking about 800 pounds,
They only got part of the
So what they say, Mayor?
Oh no, it's an ongoing investigation, and see that's the neat thing about an ongoing investigation. As long as it's an ongoing investigation, they don't have to say
They don't
nothing.
have to disclose.
That they're that was now they're just as liable. It's not. So they're looking at murder charges. Yeah, they do it full apart. I said, you can hear the guy hurtling and stuff like that.
That's a good team.
Yeah. And you already, I already had people shooting. So that's they're already shooting. They don't know. I don't know what they're shooting at, and I don't know what I know what's out there, and I don't know if it could consider me a threat along with them or not, because where the cameras are, what the Willie, that's CCTV.
Free to take the dog man down. It's hard to believe that.
You don't talking about something that's like a tree. It's around as you turn around and jam it 3 foot back in. Into trees. I've seen them personally. One, told this story to them a couple of times. I went out with a buddy of mine. His brother is a sheriff deputy. I worked with him a bunch. We went out to get a stand. He got run. When we got down to something, they took one of those bloody stands, deer gun stands, and bent it up like it was tweed. We threw what was left of it in there, and you could hear stuff hollering and coming through the woods. So I thought, let's get out of here. I look out as we're going to the road. There's a full grown, probably 8 foot watch running, keeping up the truck. I look back over, we're doing 50 miles an hour. Get out and kept up with the truck, pulled off and run across the road in front of us.
Was that bipedal?
It would go bipedal and then back up. It would go bipedal down on all fours. I didn't realize at the time until later there was cross fences. There's fields out there. Well, you get cross fences out there because you want to move your cow from this section to this section. You have to have cross fences to keep them from eating all the grass all the place. And it would go down all fours. It was hurtling those vessels. It was hurtling like a hurricane. But it was down, back up, down, back up. And I said, we're faster than 50 miles an hour. So you can't run them. I've seen them chase deer down and reach over and snap their leg and just keep going and reach and snatch another one. That's how they'll run a deer down like and do that. Well, if they break their leg, guess what? They ain't going nowhere. They can leave it right there. Go get another one.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like I said, these things are, and the people think that they're nice, killing. But I've been out to places where, yeah, they'll play peekaboo with you behind a tree or whatever. You go back after the next time, they throw trees at you. They'll throw trees against the road that you come in on. You never know what kind of position or what's going on that they may have to. Are you very
I
happy?
said that earlier. It's like you just don't know what you're going up against.
No. And the other thing is, some of these things like to eat humans. Yeah.
I'm never going to with you again.
That's
Well,
it. I'm done.
I'm done.
You know what the nickname some tribes of humans?
One word.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
There are things that they call out there. I think they're because of inbreeding. I think they're messed up genetically. They call them cookies or those things will definitely hunt you down and eat you.
I mean, Gugway stands for is like face eater or
Yeah.
something like that.
Well, I said they were hunting you down. I've come across two of them up in Oregon and Washington State.
An English professor. He's written a whole bunch of books about the pyramids. I think the website was like pyramidmystery.com or .info. That's what it was. But he was talking about, and this is the first time that I had heard it, that he doesn't believe that they're blocks at all. He thinks that they were formed in some sort of a concrete. That they broke it down, and what you're seeing with the lines is where they would build the wooden form up for whatever block that they needed. Then they would, bring up wall. And you let that where they could build in the next course on top of that.
I think should get John in trouble on something with this. there's bases around the U.S. Everybody knows about Area 51 and SR4 and stuff. There's other bases around the U.S. Nobody has any idea. There's one up in Alaska that's in a mountain that has a black pyramid in it. The
Mhm.
funny
I've heard
thing-
of that one.
about that.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, if you pull up on your phone now, Google Earth. You zoom in on this period. You zoom in on this place. It's just a big black spot.
Blacked out.
It's blacked out.
There was actually
They do that
there was
in
actually a gentleman who said he saw a news news story about it. Went to the news station to get a copy of the story, and they said, "Yo, we don't know what you're talking about." And he got persistent about it, so the manager finally came over and said, "Yo, listen, we aired it, but they took it away. We're not allowed to air it again."
That's
There's-
called a blackout.
Yeah,
Talk
there's
about it.
bases and
Yeah.
sites all over the U.S. What I think is funny, I can't remember the guy's name, but they did a TV show about this. There's missile silos, Type 2 missile silos all over the U.S. that the government declassified and decommissioned. Well, there's a guy that went around, he bought one. And then he sold rooms for the apocalypse out of that one. He paid for several others. Nobody gets to know where these places are until the apocalypse happens.
That's all.
But they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars for rooms in these places.
You know what he said? The reason why he was doing it? He says because I'm a big contractor, that does large contracts and defense contracts and all that kind of stuff. He says the reason I'm doing this is because the U.S. government is doing this.
Yep.
And if they're doing this,
There's a reason.
there's a reason for it, so I'm doing it.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Then the guy last year bought one of the ticket. He bought a ticket for him, his wife, and his kids on the shuttle program to leave Earth.
That I did a show on my channel on the secret space program.
The
That was
20
a
and
great
back.
show.
The 20 and back.
20 and back. That is so hard to wrap your
Yeah.
head around.
I can say this now because it's been declassified. See, I was partner security for the Space Force before it was called the Space Force. It's actually went through like 4 different names. I got a challenge coin, and it actually has the Space Force on it.
I had memories as a kid of being in the testing programs for that in the dumps underground,
Wow.
being put in century deprivation tanks and all kinds of crazy stuff. And then when I get to a certain age,
They wiped your memory.
it's all gone.
Well, that's like most people don't realize. You know those rockets that the Space Force is sending up? I showed her. Because like I said, a lot of the stuff, if you know where to look for, it's been declassified. Y'all know there's rovers they already have that are unmanned that they can send up right now and they can control them. They're sending them to other planets and stuff now. You know that big dome on top? And what they did was they actually took missiles and recommissioned them to fire these. They can fire that off. Once it gets up into space, they can go wherever it wants to. There's rovers, just like drones that they fly, that they can pilot and go around. They're as big as these cars out here. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Look, the moon is actually a warehouse.
That's what I heard.
It's artificial. It was put there.
By who?
If I'm not mistaken, there's times in history where they talk about those two, one moment, then two moments, and then one
Well, there
moment
is
after
obviously another planet. That's where our asteroid belt comes from. Tiamat.
So
Some
you're
call it.
talking about Nibiru.
Well, that wouldn't be Nibiru.
You're talking about that thing coming back around.
Nibiru would be Planet X. That's a whole different. So
Well,
you have like the
did it
XY.
crash into that one?
No, it was supposedly advanced technology, and they blew the planet up.
Okay.
And then that destroyed the atmosphere for Mars. But they say that a lot of that came here.
Well, that's just like a buddy of hers she used to work with was part of the testing program. He was part of the program that tested the electric rail guns for the soldiers.
That's space program stuff.
Yeah, see, a regular weapon won't work in space.
Right.
But you can take a electric rail gun and it will, because it doesn't have propellant that fires. Well, he was telling them, and I've seen these in action, you can take a rail gun, it looks like an M4, fires a depleted uranium looking dark thing. At almost 800 yards, it can go through a concrete cinder wall.
They've used all kinds of advanced weapons. They say they keep coming back to that one.
He was out talking all about this, and I told him, I said, "Oh, you were part of DNR?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, I was part of the Stone Project." He all of a sudden he shuts up, won't say another word. There are so many different programs out there, and the funny thing is, what they name them doesn't sound like nothing that has to do with anything, and they're just hidden in plain sight.
Yep.
That's just like the way they used to pay us. It was funded through what they call black fund sites. Well, Congress doesn't get to know what that is in that. They just know it's a black funded site. They've approved it. Well, when they shut one of these sites down, everything that's in there is white. Nobody knows what was in it. And like when we were getting funded out of it, when they shut it down, guess what? We don't get funding no more. My retirement's gone.
Wasn't that part of the $3 trillion that was missing before 9/11?
Yep.
Oh.
See, since the first February, I haven't received no retirement, no nothing. All that money is gone, and it ain't just me; it's hundreds of people. So where'd all that money go?
You know what's crazy about that story? And talking about not believing in coincidence, which I certainly don't. I believe in conspiracy. That's the nature of how evil operates, but I do not believe in the other C word, coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, when the Pentagon was struck with 9/11, that part of the Pentagon just coincidentally had been evacuated because they were doing reconstruction in that area. The only ones allowed to move their offices back into that side of the building were the ones that were doing the investigation for that missing money. And they were all wiped out.
They were all wiped out. And imagine that there was no plane there was no wreckage.
There was no plane whatsoever.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell y'all right now, the people that I've been to the Pentagon multiple times.
I've been to the Pentagon.
That's what some people say. The way the Pentagon is designed, it was designed for missile strikes.
Right.
That is a concrete reinforced building that's built in rings. There's no way a 747
right
flying at full speed, when it crashed into it, went through as many rings as it did. It's not designed to do that.
And a plane doesn't crash level to the
That
ground.
that was done by a penetrator missile.
Yep.
A penetrator missile flying in, what it's designed to do is penetrate multiple layers of concrete and then implode. Yep. So everything that's in there gets sucked into it and burn up.
Bunker buster.
Yep. They're designed to hit bunkers buried at least 100 meters underground and destroy them.
Several professional pilots followed the flight plan and said it was impossible. No plane could have done it. All the cameras. It's funny how these cameras all stop working or disappear on the day of, right? Just multiple. If you study, just like in law enforcement, I worked 450 crashes a year on average, right? So we were trained to look at debris patterns. You know, you're looking at skid marks, physical evidence, right? And so if you follow and study plane crashes, they all have a very similar debris pattern. They all follow classic examples of each other. There was none of that there. Then you've got witness testimony of people that walked out saying it was a hole and I walked right out of it and there was no plane, you know? So yeah, there's multiple ways where that story just doesn't add up.
But everyone doesn't look at that.
Right.
Well, I'm telling you, a plane hitting that building would not have, it might have broke up the first ring and then stopped. It would have shredded that plane because of the way it was designed.
Another thing that people don't know about the Pentagon, it has, not only does it have an air defense force
Yes.
for non-squawkers, right?
Yeah.
For any birds not squawking, right? And they were sent on maneuvers on the opposite side of the country for a terrorist attack, all right? At the same time when one was going down for real, okay? So,
Coincidence?
yeah, right.
Well, not just that. There's actually air defense batteries.
That's what I was going to say next. They had anti...
They don't have to have
surface
nobody do nothing. As soon as it detects a plane that is not sending out, or every plane has a squawk box. It squawks.
So just air missile battery.
So what
If
happened to
it-
those?
Now
They were shut down.
they're
Shut down.
anti-plane. They're anti-plane and anti-missile.
Yeah,
And there's redundant systems.
So why weren't those?
And all of those
went down.
went down on
They
the day
went
of.
down.
Yeah.
Now, here's the biggest coup de grace on this one. a NORAD, all right, North American Command. A general there has shoot down orders where he's given the power. He can bring down any bird he wants in our airspace at any time if he feels necessary. The only day that was ever rescinded was on that single day from the White House.
Well, coincidence. I got a better one for you. Y'all ever heard of a non-military person being put over a branch of the military? Guess who was over the Space Force? The same man that owns
Bigelow.
Robert Bigelow.
Bigelow Aerospace.
Yeah.
One of the former owners of Skinwalker Ranch. He owned it in the 90s.
Yes.
And in an interview with Bigelow, when they asked about aliens, this is what Bigelow said. Why do people always think, are we going to have contact one day? Why can't it be that they've always been here already?
Yeah.
And before us.
And
Yeah.
the symbol for
And
his
before
company,
us, yeah.
the symbol for his aerospace company is a gray,
Is an
pretty
alien,
much a
right?
gray head.
Yeah.
It looks like the face of a gray.
I'll tell you another
Now,
crazy
you
story.
believe that they're fallen angels, right?
Well, I think there's absolutely, I believe there's fallen angels, but I also think that there's other alien life. I believe that God would be a very small God if we were the only
Did you
intelligent life.
see
he created.
Wolfka's last?
No.
Oh my gosh, it was on the Zetas.
Okay.
Wow.
You're right.
It was.
Wolfgang,
unreal.
that's a buddy of
Yes.
mine.
I know,
Yeah.
and he's done 3 series. On
Yeah.
this.
I struggle with some of his information only because now he's an avid researcher, no question.
Abbott, yeah.
But my problem is that's the only he's the only source I've ever heard from that. I've never found any collaborating sources
Yeah.
on that information.
John's from the same field I am. And it's hard to explain this, and I'm going to explain it. Maybe he can help me. That's like when I go into an investigation. Most people, they go into it with a predisposition of what they're looking for. That's you're not letting the evidence guide you. You're guiding the evidence. When you go talk to witnesses, the first thing you do, if a crime happened here, I'm not going to go talk to any witnesses. I'm going to come here. I'm going to look at what's going on here and let my evidence talk to me. Then I'm going to go back and talk to everybody that was here. And the people, you have 2 sets. You have a set that doesn't match your evidence. You don't disclude them. You put them to the side. Then you have people that are talking that what they're telling you closely matches your evidence. That's letting your evidence lead you to who the most credible witness is. Because everybody here can have somebody run through this parking lot right now, and I guarantee you, no 2 people that would describe the same person. It's just human nature. Humans make the worst evidence givers there are. But a lot of people in the squatching, doing squatching and stuff, they try to drive the evidence to fit what they want it to fit instead of letting the evidence drive you to fit what it goes to. And that's the way I look at things. And like I said, I've been to a lot of places that, oh yeah, I know it was a squatch. Did you see it? Well, I think I did, but I heard this. Okay, what I'm seeing doesn't fit a squatch. Sorry, it just don't. And like I said, it's easy to get ahead of your evidence if you already have a prejudgment. If people would stop and slow down, let the evidence guide them, and see that's the difference in people like me and John. Because we were trained in how to first it's not question, it's interrogating. Anytime a law enforcement officer is talking to you, it's not a question, it's an interrogation. We are not there to be your friends. We're trying to build a case. So we're going to everything you're saying, we're either recording, writing down, and we're going to try to match it to our evidence. If it doesn't, then we're going to come back to you and lie. You lied to me. I know you're lying. We look at things differently and stuff, and if more people would do that, because we're trained to do that. You got a lot of people out here that do squatch investigations. They're really good at it, but they have not had any formal training in being a detective and gathering evidence. That there's a lot to it other than going out there and just videoing and talking to witnesses. That's a great thing to do, and I want more people to come forth with their stuff. But when you go to an actual site or you go to something, you have to go into it with, okay, let me try to figure out some way to disprove this as anything other than what it is. Occam's razor, the simplest explanation is usually the easiest and the best. If you've ruled out everything else that it could be, then you go into what is it? That's the way I look at stuff. That's the way he looks. That's why me and him got along so good. It's because we come from that kind of background. I was trained in observing because I was Fort Recon scout. I was a sniper. Snipers do more than just shoot people.
They're scouts.
They're scouts.
They're
I'm trained in
scouts.
to observe what is out there and report back. When I look at this room out here, y'all just see a bunch of people. I can tell you where everybody's sitting. I can tell you everything. If somebody moves something, I can go inside, come back out, and if something's been moved, what was moved and where it was moved to, because I've made a mental picture in my head. You listen for sounds. You listen for smells. All that stuff goes into it. That's the way I look at the world. That's like pictures, like you were talking about. I've had a bunch of people send me pictures. Hey, you see it right there? They'll circle it and everything. I don't see it. Now, you put me out here in these woods, yeah, because what I do is I take a mental picture constantly of what's going on. That way I can tell if something changes. Then you start looking for shapes that don't belong out in nature. Circles, straight lines, triangles, squares aren't in nature. Well, like I said, that's the difference. And I've teed a bunch of people off. I didn't mean to, because what they're showing me doesn't go along with either what I see or what I know.
Well,
I'm not.
It's the same thing with 9/11. Let's go back to that again, because you're looking at evidence. The evidence doesn't. And the exact same day that it happened, all of a sudden the president gets on and says, "Oh, we've been attacked by terrorists."
Well,
blah blah blah. And this is who did it. How do you know?
What happened for me on that? I heard that a tenured professor at a university was fired for a paper he wrote on 9/11 because it disagreed with the official narrative.
Well, I got one for y'all. Y'all know all those pilots were trained in Florida.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And intelligence agencies knowingly let him in the country.
They let them in the country.
Yeah, they let them in the
I heard
country.
the hostages, the so-called hostages, in the air were shot. They did not crash those planes. They were shot. And then those planes they were flown down, bodies disposed of, and those planes were...
I've heard multiple theories on that. We don't have enough evidence
Right.
to know other than
If they were drones.
theorizing.
This is a great thing about a plane crash. It gets rid of all your evidence.
My personal theory is there was a remote control takeover.
So,
And
the crash on Shanksville.
what's that?
The crash at Shanksville. Right?
Uh-huh.
That crash site didn't look right.
No, that was
Wasn't
no
it
my
right?
unit. The intel from my unit was that was intentionally brought down. But I don't
Who
know.
was on that plane then?
Those were passengers. That was a plane.
So on that one, do you think they tried to remote control that plane and the passengers might have took it over and then decided to just drop it?
No, because they wouldn't have if it was remote control taken over. There's nothing they could do to alter it. If the pilot couldn't alter it.
See, a lot of people don't realize those planes, those little boxes and all that stuff on there, they can be took off. They can be taken over, and the pilot can fight all he wants to, and he's not going to do that because all those planes are flown by wire. They're not flown by hydraulics. And I mean, you push a button up here and it's servos. You push a button and it kicks a pump on that turns another that opens a valve up that makes a hydraulic line go. I don't have to be there to do that. I can kick that servo on from remote.
And why did Building 7 come down? It was a command center.
That's just like your smart cars. If you owe money on those cars, you know they can shut those cars down where they won't move, they won't do nothing if you don't make the payment.
Oh yeah, Tesla. They can set that shit where the Tesla will drive itself back to the dealership.
Yep.
It goes home.
They miss a
Building
payment,
7.
Drive that shit right back to the dealership.
Holy cow! That's
John, Building 7 was taken down, but it was already hooked up for controlled demolition.
Oh yeah. Now here's what they said in the official story. They said it was unsafe due to the other damage, and therefore they had to wire it and bring it down. Problem is That doesn't fit, because if you ask any demolition experts in the world, it takes at least 2 weeks to wire a building, and you're not going to do it in the middle of a crisis when everyone's going, what, huh, what?
Yeah, and
what?
you still got maybe people alive in the rubble.
And what about all the missing gold underneath the building?
Yeah, it's so sad.
I got a better one for you because she started speaking out. Miss Kitchum. Not this second, not whatever. Every organization that had somebody there that was doing something, when they asked, all right, we need to get these bodies identified, who is the leading DNA expert in the world? Her name come up on at the top of every list. She was there. I know she was there. There's pictures of her there identifying the bodies. This is the thing now. She can't get a job teaching anything at a local high school because they don't even show where she went to college. She has been discredited every which way possible.
They did the Bob Lazar.
Yeah, every way. You don't, huh?
Yeah,
Who told us about
Yeah, she
elementary
doesn't.
education?
You can't even find her college. The college
And that
Even
is
gave us the name.
disgusting
Yeah,
to me.
the
That's-
college
Years
she
later?
has
Oh,
degrees
it's
on her wall.
Yeah.
You can call them and they say she never attended.
But let's go back to 9/11 because I want to say
Oh,
9/11
look.
was to cover up the $3 trillion that was missing from the black budget,
Not
whatever.
Give me
just
a-
That
you could give-
Rumsfeld talked about the day
Rumsfeld.
before.
Yep.
Give me a
So where did
microphone
that
and an
money
auditorium,
go?
and I can go on for 9/11.
So
for
where
days.
did that
Yeah.
money go? That money was for
And the thing is, that's happened so many times since. Let me give you another example of that. Oh, by the way, we're giving another $100 billion to Ukraine this week.
Yes.
And next week, we're going to do the same thing. And the same thing, an article came out last week that said 70% of that money is being laundered. It's
Mhm.
not going where they're saying.
No.
It's going for their little pockets.
for what?
Going right back in the
Well, this is the thing.
They're
Most people don't know.
selling
Y'all know we had
weapons on the black market.
Never to be.
4 of our mainstream research facilities, what they call
'Cause that's-
dedicated research facilities for odd things. Guess where they are?
Located in Ukraine.
In the Ukraine.
Right.
When they were sending PMCs over there, you weren't sending them over there to help out with keep the front line. They were all sent over there, and they were all sent to 4 locations.
A few weeks ago, I came across an article that somebody did an interview with a Russian soldier, and they said that they are losing the fight over there because Ukraine is using augmented men over there.
Yes, I heard that.
Was
Yes,
augmented
super-
what?
super
Augmented
soldiers.
Augmented soldiers.
Super soldiers.
They're also using robot technology.
Yep.
And drones.
Yep.
So that's another thing DARPA came out with. They came out with robots that they wanted to decide they're going to be used for combat in war zones, and they wanted to know how they can fuel them. And they said, well, we got all these dead bodies.
Oh my God.
So they created these robots that actually eat human flesh to fuel themselves. And then as a joke, they named them HK, Hunter Killers, from the movie Terminator. Official story out of DARPA.
There's a YouTube video. If you type in robot testing,
Have
I
you
think it is.
seen
Yeah, it's
that?
crazy.
God.
They're up there kicking it. This
Kicking
thing
it.
is they're kicking it, hitting it. They
Knocking
throw it a
it
weapon,
over.
and it grabs the weapon out of there. And as they're kicking it, it's shooting targets.
Shoot. But it'll turn on them and not shoot.
Yeah,
It won't shoot friendlies.
Right.
supposedly.
Talking about friendlies. Pat Tillman.
Until somebody rewrites the
Pat
song.
Tillman, absolute
Yeah.
execution.
Yeah.
And
Pat
why?
Tillman.
Why was he executed? Because first of all, he had a voice. He was famous. Second of all, they were following everything he did because of that. Third of all, he was very disgruntled and angry that he's given up so much being a real American hero. And he goes over there and he says, we're not fighting for freedom. We're not fighting a war. We're guarding poppy seed fields. And we're blowing up civilians, not soldiers. So, and he told this back to his mom, to his coach, and he was very upset. And they were worried he was going to come back and tell this. Now, his battle buddy that was standing next to him said that plain as day, they came up and shot him. It was soldiers. It was unknown SF types that were attached to the Ranger Battalion that day, which is common in the Ranger Battalion. It's very common to have Delta Force, SF, all kinds of groups that just attach to your unit, oftentimes to deploy in or for different parts of their mission. So it wasn't uncommon, but it was a straight up execution. And even the coroner, the medical military coroner, when he examined the body, the first thing out of his mouth he said was, "This was an execution."
So they just shut people up, shut things down, destroy things.
If
Well,
you're not, if you're
let's
not
talk
taking
about
care,
one
you're
that
gonna
I
get
know
rid
of. You know who I'm going to talk about, don't you?
Power corrupts.
Your buddy, the radio announcer.
Um,
What was his little girl's name? His replacement's name? That was going to have Area 51 stormed.
who was Art Bell's replacement?
Heather.
George
Yeah,
Lord.
Heather.
Heather Wade.
Oh,
Heather Wade.
Heather Wade.
Heather Wade.
Heather Wade is the reason why Art is not here no more.
You think they took him out?
I know damn well they took him out.
I grew up listening to Art.
so
Me,
so
In fact-
many people
Art
listen to
Bell.
Art Bell that if something started going down and
Yes.
he went on the radio and told about it, everybody would listen to
And
it.
everybody would
Yes.
even, yes, he would
he
you could
They
was
call,
on
you
the
could bring
cutting
people together.
edge. He
They
was
told
so
that little
far
girl,
ahead.
they told her not once but twice, if you keep opening your mouth, see, you can't shoot her. You can't kill her because then it makes her a martyr. Everybody's going to listen to her. Oh, yeah, well, she must have been right. But if you go after somebody that's really close to her, and not only did the coroner there come up with three different autopsies of how he died, then the family comes in and says, "We don't want to hear no more about this." Kicks her out of the place. Tells her she's not even allowed to get back to any of her stuff. They erased all her stuff. That's shutting someone up. So if you've got a voice and you're saying stuff, and I want you to stop, I'm not going after you. I'm going to go after somebody you care about. Sooner or later, we'll find something you care about. And you're going to shut up
Why do they want to stop her?
because all right, everybody thinks Area 51 is all about the aliens and all that stuff. It's not what's there. But if they tell you what's there, then it's going to be like, well, why didn't you tell us? I'm trying to remember the name of the Dugway base. People don't understand.
Dulcie.
Yeah, Dulcie. That is one of the most toxic places on the freaking planet. They've tested so much crap there that they give you 5 minutes to last in a biohazard force suit.
There was an investigator who went there a few years back that was doing a YouTube show, and he got nerve damage.
Oh yeah, Anthony F. Sanchez.
Yeah.
He got paralysis on the left side of his face.
That's it.
Now you got to
He was
think,
up on-
what
up
exactly
on
are
top of
they doing at
artillery,
Area 51?
found
They don't
these
care if you
crates
think it's
full
aliens.
of, like military parts
That's
and
easy.
stuff like that up on
That's
artillery.
better than what
And he
the
went
truth
to a
actually
diner.
is. Well,
Served by
there
a
is
waitress, and
security out there. If you
got
have,
poisoned and
let's say you have
she like disappeared.
2,200 people show up out
Plus
there and
they
storm the
were
gate. You think they're going to be able to
shut
shoot
down
all
the,
2,200 people and get away with it?
Plus, you know something else he reported
That's
on?
the reason why.
He reported on it. He said he received death threats because of some intelligence he was given, which was about low orbit AI satellites.
Project Lehman.
That's it. That's huge. That's a giant story. I've seen some photos of those things.
He shut up about that too.
He did. He
was
shut
gonna
up
release
about
that
it.
book.
Y'all said his name earlier, Bob Lazar. Look at him.
Yep.
The stuff he was actually talking about that everybody thought he was crazy about is actually coming to light now that he was actually telling
Shit,
the
he was
truth
raided
about.
again a few years ago.
Element
Yeah.
115.
Yep.
By the way, he bought one of those missile silos,
Yeah.
and it was raided by the police,
Yeah.
by the feds.
Yeah.
They're looking for that element.
Here's when I got into the intelligence section of my unit, one of my superiors came to me one day and he says, "Hey John, you ever listen to Art Bell?" And I said, "No." I said, "No, I've heard about him and I've been interested, but I haven't listened to it." He's like, "Well, you ought to start listening to that show." And I'm like, "Okay." I didn't realize
It wasn't a suggestion.
that wasn't a suggestion.
That's
Later, this is a common
This is
military.
what really is going on.
Yeah, this is a common military thing. I didn't realize I was being given an order, right? So he comes to me later and he's like, "So, have you started listening to Art Bell?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I've been meaning to, but I haven't." He jumped me up and down. I got in trouble. So I realized at that moment it was an order. So the first night I start listening to Art Bell, the first thing Art Bell says is, "Man, I know that I'm told that the military and federal agents are told that they got to listen to my show. And I'm like, holy cow, that's crazy. And I'm thinking, but if he told me to do that, now I'm in intelligence section. And if he's telling me to listen to that show, it's for a very specific reason, which I think I found out later, but I can't say a whole lot about. Other than this, I will say this. We were told that we could come across information in the field with our equipment and the nature of what we were supposed to be doing, that if we came across certain types of information, we were not allowed to give it to our own chain of command or the military. You could only give it to certain intelligence agencies. Yep. No one else, not your own chain of command. And that was very eye-opening.
Back to Art Bell. What did the autopsies come back?
Well, which one?
That's what I'm saying. So there
Well, it went from natural causes to
Overdosing or something like that.
Yeah, I had heard because of his back that he had
get that from me.
did it on pain pills or something.
He supposedly overdosed. Then he was killed. But
I never heard he was killed back in the day.
I always wondered if he had tried that astral projecting. Like that one show, but he was so afraid of it, and he pulled himself back in. And he just,
I love Phil Schneider.
Phil Schneider was.
I love Phil Schneider. William. I forget his last name all of a sudden. Behold the Pale Horse.
Bill Cooper.
Bill Cooper.
I may get Truth in trouble for this. That's why all these people y'all keep naming.
Yeah.
If y'all noticed, a lot of these channels that they went on and started telling, they've been took down. Because they'll find some reason why YouTube will you violated your agreement. Right. Oh, see, they took my first channel down. And so what I did was I countersued them for violating my civil rights, 9 different civil rights. When they figured out I wasn't going back down and that I had merit to this, guess what happened? My channel gave back to me, plus they paid me. That's the reason why if you watch my channel, I can show guns. I'll talk about stuff. It won't bother me.
I wondered.
William Cooper backed up Phil Schneider's story.
I actually have a
That's
copy.
crazy
of
how they
the
did
Pale
Phil
Horse.
Schneider. That was absolutely not.
I have a copy.
That's a
You
good
can't
book.
find it.
You know
It
that
says it now.
some colleges actually teach a course on that book. I don't know if you
Very influential book.
Yes, it is.
I know several people that had copies.
And matter of fact, wasn't Bill Cooper off a month or so before, or like a month or so after 9/11?
I
Pretty
don't
sure it
know,
was
but he
the
talked
year.
about a lot of advanced technology. Like he saw naval ships materialize in harbors.
He saw a huge USO come up out of the water when he was on a sub, wasn't it?
I don't know that one. And he talked about the vaccines being used against us in the future.
Well, that's like they're trying to get everybody to get this new vaccination for the monkeypox. This is the thing. Monkeypox is not transmittable to humans.
Right.
I'll tell you
Well,
what's
now it's
going on in New
polio.
York right now. Freaking people have been coming down with polio because somehow polio strain got put into the water supply.
Somehow.
Well, y'all heard about
polio
Trying to get people vaccinated for polio. If you
You
ever
heard
been
of-
vaccinated for polio, they want you
Was
to get
it-
that shit.
was a Dr. Artist that was saying that he claimed that that COVID was actually a venom poison that's being spread through water supply.
I don't drink water, so I'm all right.
So I want to know this. John was inoculated for stuff that we were supposed to be could come in contact with when we went overseas and stuff like that. I've been inoculated against some of the most deadliest diseases on the planet. It only took one. Anthrax. I got inoculated on it. There was one freaking shot. I was inoculated on every strand of anthrax known on the planet. Only took one shot. Why do you have to get 2 shots for this other crap?
And then double
triple boosters.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you got to have triple boosters and stuff. See,
Every 9 months.
you're telling me that
Then
I can
still get it.
survive anthrax, but I can't survive the flu?
You know what's a crazy conspiracy about that is that nobody's talking about is that there's a lot of soccer players over in the UK
Hundreds.
who have been fully vaccinated and stuff like that, and they're dropping dead on the field
Yes.
from cardiac arrest.
Hundreds of athletes dropping dead.
400 plus have dropped dead on the field after being vaccinated.
In prime shape, prime health, and this is not something that's consistent with anything before, you know. So here's the thing: when something changes, you got to look at what variable changed, and then there's your culprit. We had a guest come stay in our apartment one time with me and my buddy. All of a sudden, someone wasn't flushing the damn toilet. We never had that problem with me and my buddy before.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden, the guy's like, "Oh, you're gonna blame me? Well, who you think I'm gonna blame? You know, little gremlins coming in at night?
Well, you made a good point earlier.
That's the variable."
Since this government cooties, that's what I call it, so I don't get truth in trouble. Go look at how many cases they show you how many cases of this government cooties have been out there. But go look at regular cases of the flu.
Oh, yeah.
There's 90.
From 2020.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
90.
nobody was coming down with the flu.
400 and something
Everything
cases
was-
in 2020.
Okay, 400 something cases. So
Which is nothing.
So this crap cured the flu.
I think
They've been
there's
looking
a
for a cure for the flu for years.
Or is it hospitals are getting paid money to say it's one thing?
I know for a
They're
fact
getting
when my
paid
aunt
for
died.
the dead people
I know for a
that
fact when my aunt died.
got that
You
stuff.
talking about mad as hell? I was
Yeah.
already upset.
You
but
told me about this.
yeah, as soon as they load my aunt up, the coroner, the funeral director comes over and looks at my cousin, which is his mama, and me, and says, "Hey, you know, if we say this was COVID, the government will pay for the funeral." I looked at him and said, "Do you what?" He said, "Yeah, if you say this was COVID, they'll pay $38,000 to pay for the funeral." I
That's
told
how,
him,
a
I said,
lot,
"If you open your mouth again, you're gonna need another funeral."
that's how a lot of those numbers got boosted up.
Yeah.
People were dying of like
That's how all of them do.
Jeremy,
Dying of car accidents,
Jeremy
that's
Jackson, that's my cousin. He'll take the same thing.
That's right.
They came to
Yes, I'll
him
see
and
you
tried to
on
get him
Monday.
to fill a piece of paper out to say that COVID killed him.
Well,
Have a
I
good
have a
night.
friend, and at the office in
Yeah.
Detroit, that they go in and get a
I'll
COVID
grab
test.
breakfast.
Well, she didn't
He's
even
already
make it
assigned me
for
a
the
door to
test,
watch.
and they called her later that afternoon and said, "You tested positive."
You could get shot in the belly and they say you have COVID.
You know, Elon Musk said he took 4 tests on the same day. 2 came back positive, 2 came back negative.
Mhm.
Now there was a president in a part of Africa, and he happened to have a history running biolabs and being a biologist. So he tested some of the tests, and he's the one that tested the fruit
Yeah, I
and the
heard about
llama.
that.
Yeah. Well, he comes up dead later.
Oh,
I got one
Well,
I
think about all the
showed on
scientists out in China that were actually spilling the beans. They got ghosted real quick.
In fact, I think there was like 5 world presidents that were anti the vaccines for their country, all assassinated.
I got a show I want to do with you. It's on the stuff that just happened with Trump. Nobody's paying attention to what they just did. Nobody's paying
I am.
attention to what they
I pay
just what
attention
they
to all that
said.
shit.
All right,
He
they
just pled the
supposedly got a warrant to do a search on his property.
Here's the one. Here it is. Goodbye.
I got a better one for you. How hard is it to get? Can you subpoena classified records?
No.
Go look at what CNN put out. They supposedly got a warrant for classified documents that he's supposed to know what they were looking for. To
From an
have.
informant.
no.
You can't. That's exactly how they got the warrant. The thing is, the judge that signed the warrant,
It wasn't even a federal judge, it was a magistrate.
yeah, as a magistrate, you can't do that.
Well, I'm pretty
And
sure
guess
he's gonna
who's
keep
he-
it
guess-
safe
do
anyway, so-
whatever
Hold on,
Yeah.
guess who his
You
biggest
know?
supporter is? Biden.
Mhm.
But you know why they did this? Because as long as he's being investigated, guess what he can't do? He can't run for president.
Right.
And that's what it's all about.
Exactly.
Just like the January 6th debacle.
Yeah.
Don't get me started on that.
I'll be right back, y'all.
First
Jim Buckle is right.
I'll
off,
be
no
right
more
back.
lifetime politicians.
Yeah, Agree. Well, here's
Everybody
the,
gets term limits.
here's the thing
President
about-
can serve 2 terms. A senator or congressman should only be able to serve 3 or 4.
Amen.
here's the thing
And
about
if
being
you're old enough to collect Social Security, you should not be running for president.
Here's another thing about our
If
politicians.
you're old enough to get 50% off on your Depends, you don't need to be president.
Here's another thing about politicians. All right. Number one, you should not become rich because of being in that office.
Exactly.
Number two, you shouldn't be able to do insider trading because of that office.
Exactly.
Look at old Nancy
Hello,
face.
see.
She's
They
about
write
to,
the laws so that
she's
they
about
can
to jump
do that.
off World War III with her
You
little
should not.
Yeah.
bullshit she did.
You should not pass any laws for the public that you don't follow or are held to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, period.
And Congress can't pass any laws that apply to one section of the populace and not to another.
Right.
I.e., they
Always said I
can't vote
wanted to
themselves
see
insider
some of these
trading.
politicians, like some of them were
While
already
hammering
rich before
somebody
they
else.
became politicians.
Like,
But some of them weren't. I want to see what their net
Martha
worth
Stewart,
was
she made
before they
what?
became a politician and what it is
$30,000
now.
I saw a study on that
or
one
something
time,
like that.
and it's
That's
ridiculous.
Police
Yeah.
ridiculous.
They go from making $40,000 a
And-
year to making
You're trying to tell
$500,000
me-
a year to making $1 million a year.
Right,
because of
right,
all the
exactly.
lobbyists
And you're trying to tell me
and
that a
everything like
congressman or a senator, whoever gets it, they have a bill on their desk about that thick. They have a week to read it and sign off.
How about a day?
Yeah.
Sometimes
They-
less
Or
than that.
hey, better
No.
yet, let's
They
do it.
do
at
that.
10
They
o'clock
admit
in the
it.
Yeah.
They admit that they don't. That there's a lot of bills they pass that they don't read.
There's so much hidden shit.
That's
in
why
those
they
bills.
made
Remember a few
Bills so
years back,
Pork belly.
once we pass it, we'll find out what's in it.
Yeah, that's
Remember
it.
that?
Yeah, we gotta pass it in order to find out what's in it. In fact, you know what? They're
Yeah, the war
saying that
started
again
that.
right now about this new bill they're trying to pass. In fact, they're saying why Congress.
What, the Inflationary Reduction Bill?
That's it. And why Congress, most of them are on vacation. They're like, oh, you can vote from home. You don't even have to come in to vote. But it's funny, too, because they keep giving themselves raises, but they're showing up to work less and less as well. Well, everybody else in the world, that's
But
going the
yet
opposite.
they hired 83,000 new IRS. And did you hear that they
That's so
they
they can
needed to
answer
know
the
how to
phone.
use a gun and be willing
To use
to
lethal
kill.
force, right? Yep.
What?
And what? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Now,
87,000.
And
Now,
they're
It
trying to
didn't
say,
say
they're trying to say
anything, do you
that
have
that's a recent.
accounting or
Yeah.
anything like that. It
Like,
just
do you
said,
not-
are
do
you
you
willing
have-
to shoot someone?
Right.
They don't come up to, do you have an accounting agreement?
No.
Are you willing to shoot someone? Are you willing?
Why
Yes.
do they
What?
even need that?
Now,
Yes.
they came out and said, "Oh, this is something recent. It shouldn't have been in there. That's for something else." That had been in there since the middle of January last year, or in 2020.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
80, how much? What was the number on that?
87,000.
You remember Barack Obama saying we need to have a new civilian force.
Civilian police force. Or something
That's
like
it.
that.
Civilian force
They're
equal
gonna
to the
turn the-
military.
And he was
Yeah.
talking about that since
They're going to
2008,
turn the internal
2009.
revenue.
Well, this is it.
They're gonna
This is
turn
it. I mean, they basically just created an army, and then look at all the ammo and weapons they bought for.
See, I got a story.
Now, recently,
Yeah, what are they doing
now
buying
that
all
just
that ammo?
recently,
Yeah,
The
while they're taking it away from
IRS
us,
yes.
they're trying to say we can't
This is
own these
just
guns.
recently.
Yeah, but
Now, if you
you
think
think they're
back,
gonna? You think these politicians
few
are gonna
years
walk
ago.
around without their security?
Yeah,
there
right.
was a
See, I got a
big
story
blow
about
up
that.
about
Take your
cousin-
security
government
guards to them, see how you
buying
feel
My
about
cousin
that.
used to work with this guy.
9
Him and his
millimeter
wife
Yep.
pistols
out
Yep.
west,
I remember that.
and
and they
like
had
a
this old map.
billion
with them.
rounds of
So they
9
went out
millimeter
there
rounds.
and found this cave, and in this
A lot of
cave
people
they
went,
found
"Oh, they're just
a
trying
ton
to-
of
to
military gear.
Get the stock down so that nobody
Yeah,
else
this is
can
back
buy
in
it.
the early
Fire-
2000s, like
firearms,
2002,
ammo,
2003.
Vests,
Gun
grenades, everything was
Right.
all loaded
They
in
were
there, right?
arming
So there's like,
Social
we
Security.
shouldn't be here. And this
Right.
was on an old map that they had. So they went back like 2 years
They-
later.
They
They stopped at a
hired
gas
another
station
83,
and
so
they got a
whatever
map. And the guy was like, "Yo, we need to get back to this cave system." And they was like, "What
doubling
cave system?" So he gave
the
them a newer
IRS,
map
and
that
you
that
got
was
that one
taking out of the area.
prim
So
congressman
they still
saying,
had their old
"Oh,
one.
those
They
are
went
just
back
for-
there and
for
it was
the
sealed
volunteer.
off.
You'll be getting better
Couldn't get
service."
couldn't get
What do you
into
need?
that.
Some
70,000
sites like this,
what do you
if
need
it's real sensitive
$700,000
sites,
worth of ammunition?
they've got satellites that monitor this stuff.
Oh yeah, they have drones flying around all that.
Yeah.
However many
And like,
thousand guns
like the
they
guy we were
bought,
talking about earlier,
plus what they had
They,
on
they weren't
hand
talking
already,
about these
if you not clean
these
it.
security
And
low
they're
orbit
flying
surveillance AI
drones.
drones.
Flying
These things are
hollow,
nanotechnology,
not
AI.
full
Like,
metal jacket.
fully.
He was supposed to be right after his book, under freaking UFO Highway, which is a very good book. If you haven't read it, you should read
I
that.
haven't read that.
Very good book. He was supposed to come out with the book Project Leonid. That shit got shelved real quick. He shut up about that.
On that ammo, on the night, I went through Wyoming and Nebraska. And in that time, I saw at least 6 military convoys going west, all flatbeds with connexes on them, hauling explosives.
I love everybody.
And what's the deal with these alerts and commercials about what to do in case of a nuclear attack?
Well, we're at a DEFCON. What is it? Like DEFCON, was it 2 right now?
Yeah.
Because of threats of Russia
I came
and
across a video
and China.
where this guy, he part of the military, and he had said a lot of reservists have been moved to like kind of upstate New York.
Heard about that.
And they were
Adam, you don't fly over
moving
there.
stuff at night
Yep.
under the darkness, like no
Right.
lights or anything like that. And he talked to a few of his boys and like, yo, have you guys ever done this before? And they're like, no,
Nope.
we've never done this before. So
Right.
he's going around telling everybody, yo, you need
But
to
others
watch out.
confirm the same story.
Like, it's crazy.
Yep.
Well, there's
Slide
also
over
a
and
threat
get,
of a
twitching
dirty
at
bomb in New York City
Yeah.
right now too.
When I was in my
I told you on
intelligence
the blind
section,
side
we
of the
had threats of that. Even back in the day, there were 12 missing
What happens?
suitcase-sized nukes.
Oh, yeah.
I ain't got no way to
Those
charge
shits
it.
go missing all the time. Do you think some of these train cars
I can
that
tell you-
miraculously get derailed? No, dude. Those shits are shot.
I tell you this,
Blown up.
you know what one of the plans is on the table? I absolutely believe if they can't beat Trump with trumped up charges, that's the best way to say it, right? Trumped up charges. If they can't do that, then they're going to go to assassination. All right. And one of the things on the table is we will set off something. They will set off something that will blow up an entire like block or more, just to make sure they got him. Like we can't get to the building because his security's too good. Oh yeah. Well, the
Take
whole
everybody out.
the whole block or two gone.
4.
Plus, I've been hearing rumors, like, because I follow, like, a lot of military guys on TikTok and stuff.
Right.
A lot of them were talking about, they've been hearing stuff about they're tracking a radiological dispersal unit in New York somewhere, and they don't know where it is.
I can tell you this, too. A lot of intelligence I see pointing to is this. The possibility of a major political figure, whether Biden, whether Trump, someone like this level, that is assassinated, that's going to cause like huge ramifications for.
Look, they've been trying to start a damn civil war again so bad for whatever reason.
Right,
why.
they're trying to start a civil war.
They've tried everything from race war to political war. This is the thing. He's seen it. I've seen it. Nobody really wants war. Is not going to be like what everybody thinks.
Hell on earth.
Yeah, but war is big business.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That's
war
why they're
is
in
money.
it every day. That's why we go from a 20-year war straight to the Ukraine. There's still war.
Yeah.
It's constant war.
But this is the thing. She can tell you. This new ban they're putting on ARs and everything. Y'all realize how many police officers have quit because they will not enforce it? My sheriff has done said he will not enforce
Oh, the DEC officer I talk to all the time, he said the same thing. He was like, they try to make me enforce these bullshit laws. They can take this gun and they can take this damn badge.
But here's the problem with that. Just like in the military where they say, you know, you are forced to take these vaccines. Well, the people that get out are the good people.
Yeah.
The ones
See,
that stay
What's
are the
going
ones
to
that
happen, John can
return.
tell you. What's going to happen is they're going to say, well, we don't have enough law enforcement to govern these places. So then they're going to enact martial law.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
And then they're
plan.
going to bring in all those people with the little blue hats.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
They want
What
to.
about the MK?
Oh, yes, sir.
Because think about it, I really don't think U.S. soldiers are going to be walking around rounding up
No, that's why he
U.S.
said-
citizens. They're going to be bringing.
But China said they'll do it.
Oh, I know. China's buying up all.
And how many Chinese troops are in Canada and with the cartels in Mexico?
Yep.
Yeah.
China owns a huge
Who's
chunk
coming
of land
over
out
the
there.
border?
It's like they're amassing on
What border?
both sides of our border.
Yeah.
When I was down there part of Border
Chinese
Patrol, y'all
troops
know I
training
caught
in
more
Canada. There's
freaking
Chinese
damn
troops training
Jamaican
in South America.
stuff coming across there than I did Mexicans.
Oh yeah, Muslims too.
Yeah, Muslims, Mexicans, and
And weren't they mostly single?
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
called
men.
military
military
age
males.
men. Yeah. And what happened is the UN paid Mexico, South America $5 billion so that they could funnel all these refugees into South America, into Mexico, knowing that they're just going to funnel them back into the
emptied their
U.S.
jails is what they did. They're not refugees per se. They're not really refugees. They emptied their jails out.
that's another reason why we're fixing to move up here to the Hugh. Because Florida has got some screwed up freaking laws to start with. I don't trust them. And
Move to Missouri.
well, I don't know that
It's
much
great
about
state.
Missouri. I lived
It is
in St. Louis for a little while, but like around here, especially back towards Chattanooga, I know all them areas.
I have an uncle in Florida. Some people were stealing horses on his farm. So he came out and he's he's in his 70s, right? He grew up in the generation of you shoot a warning shot.
Yep.
So in a crisis, he's not thinking that's the first thing he thinks. He fired a round into the ground just as a warning shot. No one's injured, no one's hurt. He calls 911 to come get the horse thieves, right?
So they're actively loading his horses up.
That's it, right? So the police show up there. They don't arrest the horse thieves. They say, "Were you scared when you heard that gun go off?" "Oh yeah, we were scared." They arrest my uncle, who was a former veteran, all right, and elderly and in poor health, and now he's facing a felony charges and 12 years in prison.
Yes, ma'am.
And not one single person was even hurt.
Then you can't even defend
Now, did they do anything to the guys that were stealing? his
No,
property?
Nothing.
Nothing.
They're witnesses against him now.
See, in Missouri, they'll tell them. They tell them.
Mississippi, same way. We have a
They say
rustling
shoot 'em.
law.
Make sure there ain't nobody to testify.
Florida, there was a bad neighborhood, and a fight broke out in front of this man's yard. Old man comes out, racks a shotgun, and fires a round off in the air to disperse it. Everyone stops fighting. Well, now he's going to prison. That's Florida.
Scared them and hurt their little feelings.
I got
They
one
much
for
better
y'all.
in New York, man.
This just happened
Much
to
better
me
in
in
New
Florida.
York. That's be
I'm not gonna say who
started
done it,
September
but
1st.
somebody
They're putting a
filed
911
stalking
on
charges
permits.
on me for
And
telling them
once they
not
take that
to
hold
stalk
off,
someone.
if you
I
want
got
to get your
stalking
pistol
charges
permit, you
in
have to turn
Florida
over all your social media.
Because I had the
Facebook,
charges. And I
Twitter.
haven't went in front of
That's
a judge.
straight
I
up
went in front of
China.
all
nobody.
that shit.
China
Because
social
you
credit
go
score
file stalking charges on me without no evidence. Guess what?
against the
I have to
Constitution.
turn over my weapons and all my ammo to the police department or go store them somewhere else. If I got caught with one piece of ammo for a week, I could go to jail, even though I haven't done anything. It's called a red flag law. That's another reason why I'm ready to get the hell out of Florida.
That's
because
another big thing right now, red flag law. Someone can make an accusation against you, and you can come and have all your guns and rights taken away
Yes, right there for no reason.
with very little to no appeal process.
Luckily, I had a smart judge, and the judge chewed that other person out. She looked at me and she goes, "Why is this in front of me?" I have no idea.
I had a buddy of mine who did prison ministry, where he'd go into prisons and like counsel, inmates. He calls me up. He says, "John, man, you wouldn't believe this was in Michigan." He says, "You wouldn't believe how many people in here for gun charges." And he says, "Let me give you an example. You get in a bar fight. Well, because you had a gun in your truck, now you're going to prison."
Yep.
How does that make any
Now,
sense?
where?
Michigan.
Oh, okay. That
And he
makes
said,
sense.
there are tons of this. Michigan, like Louisiana, is a very big hunting place. Very big gun culture, especially in northern Michigan.
So now they're taking away guns from people who have purchased them legally, and the criminals
Can always happen.
can always have
And
them.
the biggest criminals,
Hold on, we were coming up here.
government.
We were coming up here and heard this, y'all. All right, they're putting all these gun rights and all this stuff out. They're pushing for more gun laws.
How many vehicles? 42 vehicles were broke into in one weekend. And out of those 42 vehicles, what was it? No, it was 100 vehicles. And out of 100 vehicles, 42
At
of
a
them had
campground.
at a campground. And 42 weapons were stolen.
Out of their vehicles.
Oh, we need stronger gun laws. These criminals just don't understand. You got to quit doing being a criminal.
Right. The problem is, it's the criminals that are taking the guns.
Well, I'm talking about
The whole reason we have the Second Amendment is to protect us from a tyrannical government. Well, it looks like they're going awfully damn tyrannical to me.
The duty,
Wasn't it
the duty of-
LA that started
duty of the
paying
United States
criminals?
citizen to overthrow a tyrannical government.
Yeah.
Start.
Yeah.
It's right in
Hold
the
on.
Constitution.
Good
The
example.
problem is with that.
I was telling
They're
you,
not
we
teaching
tell
these
me
kids
like I said on
nowadays
County
to
Road
even read the
191.
Constitution. They can't read.
There's
script, they
17
can't write
miles
script.
through there.
They can't even read a damn clock.
If somebody
Yep.
breaks into your house and you're out there,
Right,
you're
like,
17 miles
the
out in the
new,
middle of the freaking
math
country on a back
program.
road, there's one
Oh,
gets in.
Cormac?
How
Cormac,
long do you
no one
think
can
it's gonna be before a
understand.
sheriff deputy gets there?
Don't get-
So what are you supposed to? Hey,
It's
I
all
called the
about
law,
dumbing
so you
down
gotta stay right
society.
I
here.
was-
Don't you move.
Yeah, don't you move.
I worked with at a restaurant. We had a 14-year-old and a 15-year-old. And I asked them, I was like, all right, can you name the original 13 states?
Right.
They couldn't do it.
Just because we're dumbing down our kids in school.
I
Yeah.
was like, all right, can you read the Constitution? They couldn't read it.
Yeah. I love when they go into the street and ask people these random questions. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
pathetic.
who's the president? I don't know. Who's the vice president? I
What's
don't know.
Memorial Day for? Oh, it's a day to have
They asked some college kids stuff like that. Asked one of them, who's the first president? She said Trump.
Yeah.
With a question mark. Trump.
Yeah. What's the first amendment of the Constitution? I don't know.
Wait, Bolton's got one even better. Who was the first president of the United States?
It wasn't
No,
George.
no.
It wasn't George Washington.
It wasn't George Washington.
It was actually
Smith or something like that.
Yep. It was actually I forgot how many was before George Washington, but there were several presidents before George Washington. George Washington was the first president put into office when our Declaration of Independence started. So that's where they
right.
started counting it. But there was more presidents. If you type in who was the first president on your phone, it will tell you. And most people have no freaking idea because they're not told about this.
They're not taught history.
Not till
They're taught in different forms.
Like, I would love to grab one of these social studies books that these kids are reading nowadays. And
Oh, they're
see
completely
what was
rewritten.
taken out.
Yeah.
and what's
No, I
still
think
in
we'd
there.
be
I
pretty
would
pissed
love
off.
to see that.
They're completely rewritten.
Well, they
And
were
they're all
rewritten.
rewritten for like
The
race
problem
baiting.
is we're not having our kids ask questions. A good example is my 18-year-old. When John met him, like I said, the time he met him, he was like 16. You can ask her. She's talked to him. He doesn't go by what because he's my kid though, but he's very freaking intelligent. He doesn't go by. He hates CNN, all that kind of stuff. He finds other resources like John and other people to listen to. Then he questions what John says. Okay, why does he think that? He goes and pulls it. But this is a kid now. They've only went 9 months to a regular school. We put him in, had him tested, put him in regular school because everybody's like, oh, you're getting missed out on sports and stuff like that. When I was a police officer for Boonville, Mississippi, we had them tested to be put in regular school because go from homeschool to regular school, you got to take a test, aptitude test. They tested 2 grades higher than they're supposed to. We're like, no, we don't want to do that. We want to put them in regular, where they're everybody else, so their own age. Now remember, they tested 2 grades above. They almost flunked that year because
They're bored.
They're bored. Yeah.
well, not just that. Everything that I taught them in homeschool and stuff, they were trying to unteach them.
Right.
Everything is done by computer stuff.
And everything they
It's
teach
like
now
going
is
to
division
college
of
these
everything.
days.
And
If
you can't have
they're
family
not there to
values.
learn, they're
And we
there
can't have
to
unity in anything.
indoctrinate.
Even
memorize.
unity and values of
You
we're
can't even
Americans.
have a sex.
We all want freedom.
You can't even claim to be male or
Go to
female.
Walmart. They're taking away men and women's sections at Walmart. Now it's all unisex.
Right. That's right.
And what if they
Yeah. When
do?
it comes to this little snowflake, oh, my feelings are
Where's all
hurt,
this big
or the self-entitled.
everything?
Everybody owes me. Really?
I don't have a problem with gays, but I'm getting tired of it getting forced down
I
my
don't want it
freaking
shoved
throat.
down my throat.
It's all
That's
it's-
between you and God. That's
It's
the way
all
you
part
wanna
of the
be, that's
MK
fine.
Ultra stuff that still continues and no one wants to talk about. It was just a bunch of people back in the 50s or whatever.
Nah, that should still be.
That we know that they say they were using LSD, this and that. It's more than
They
that.
still use
MK Ultra program's still running.
Oh,
Still-
I showed her an
Yes,
article the other day.
absolutely.
There was a granny that is gay that is. I forgot what the hell they classified her as now, but she's got this rainbow flag on her back like a cape. This 4-year-old is out there popping flares and stuff, and he's celebrating being transgender. He's 4 years
He
old.
doesn't even know what his favorite color is. But yeah,
You can go look that up on
That's because
Google.
he's being
they made this
programmed.
big thing
Yes.
about it. It's the stupidest crap ever.
It's like they were talking about doing hysterectomies on children. How on earth can you justify that?
Well, they did it on Native Americans.
Yeah, because they were trying to create genocide.
And well, like I said, I don't have a problem with someone wanting to be gay, but I'm getting tired of it getting shoved down my throat. Your preference in your bedroom has nothing to do with me.
Right.
And
and
like I
it
said,
certainly doesn't have anything to do with my child.
exactly. There's no look. That kid don't know much less what he wants to be.
See,
How the
it
hell
won't
does he
stop it being
understand?
It has to be
Kids should be
children.
worried about playing
Yeah.
in the dirt and running around outside and shit like that. They shouldn't
It's
have
called
to deal with that.
brainwashing.
It's crazy. And this is the thing. People are not brainwashing because all this gay stuff, you got to remember, it takes a man and a woman to make a baby. Unless they're fixing to just start doing it in test tubes.
Well, they probably
Yeah, it
are.
wasn't Adam.
until
It was
they-
not Adam and Eve.
That's,
Yeah. No.
I said it before.
So
I'll say it
if
again.
they keep
You can
on going
change
the
your
way they're
gender all
going,
you want.
Everybody's talking, well,
When
you
you
know,
turn
gays
40
got to
years
be able
old, you're still
to
gonna need that
adopt. Well, that's
prostate
fine.
again.
Guess what? You're not going to have
No,
the kids to
that's-
adopt because it ain't going to
Still
be
gonna
two
need
men
that
and two
prostate.
women can
Right.
make a baby.
Do whatever you
There's-
want. Whatever.
There's been too many gay couples that have been arrested for using their adopted children to make child porn.
This last week, there was a big case
Oh.
in the news.
And that ain't
I'm
the
sorry,
only
I
one.
can't stand it.
That's it's one that's
Yeah,
finally
Like
made
they
its way
all
to
get
the
shot in the
surface.
head.
Oh, no,
Yes,
no.
Shot right in the head.
There was a woman this week that's like some government figure or something saying, "Oh, they're the most discriminated against class." Well, they should be. They should be.
Anybody that tries
And who
to
was it
teach your
that was
children,
pushing that it should be okay to have sex with an underage
Oh, that,
child?
That's a whole movement, right?
That is a
Yeah.
whole movement that pedophiles have come out with, and I'm going to tell you right now, if they ever put that in law, I'm leaving the U.S.
But where are we going to go?
I'll take over an island.
That's the problem.
the laws against stuff like that in other countries are a lot different than they are here.
I'm going to tell you right now, go
Try
over
to find some gay marriage in other countries.
So
India, they get killed.
Yeah.
I think the reason they're doing that is they want every single person in this country at odds with every other person.
Listen,
That's what we were just
That's
saying.
what they're doing.
Everything they do is for division. It's not
On
uniting
everything.
people together. It's
On one
It's
Yeah, it's the
divided.
complete opposite.
on one hand,
especially family
if
values.
someone tells an off-color joke in the workplace, where do they go?
HR.
HR. But it's okay to have adult entertainment in elementary school.
Right.
It's okay for them to bring in adult toys into elementary school. And it's okay for people that are complete strangers to talk to your children about
Sex.
sex, whether you want to call it natural or unnatural.
listen,
Now, there's something wrong there.
I have 4 sons, and if any of them ever come home to me and say, "Hey, somebody came and was talking to me about this subject matter," I'll be at that school the next morning. With
I got one for you.
Mhm.
I got another one for y'all.
I have a friend that happened to.
I'm going to use this for example because this has happened. I lost about 500 subscribers back whenever I told everybody me and LaKay were getting divorced, and everybody found out that I was with Kat. Because, oh, you left LaKay for this, I can't believe it. This is the thing. Me and her had an amicable breakup. We're still friends, but it was because I got with her. And it was the craziest thing ever. I lost about 500 subscribers. Well, that's fine. You then bye.
Yeah.
And that's all because I started dating Kat. And I want to tell you right now, the best thing that ever happened to me was meeting her. Like I said, me and LaKaya are still friends. Matter of fact, Monday, when we leave here Sunday, we're driving back down. We're going to stay in Jackson because she's having emergency surgery done to remove multiple blood clots in both of her legs all of a sudden.
And she got the pokey poke.
Yeah, she got this is the thing. My ex-wife called her earlier. They're friends. They talk. But everybody else has a problem with it.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. If she doesn't have a problem with it, I don't have a problem with it, and LaKaya doesn't have a problem with it, what the hell's the problem?
It's nobody's business.
Yeah, exactly. But everybody, like I said, y'all would not believe the emails, the comments that were left on the channel, the bad, nasty stuff that was said about her. And like I said, she has done nothing but, since I've been with her, the way my channel has gone has changed for the good. Like I said, she's done nothing but bring happiness into my life, and like everything, there's a plus to everything.
You know what? You didn't need those 500. Go on.
See, this is the thing. I've never cared about subscribers.
Yeah.
I don't care about being famous. That is the whole thing. I think it's odd. Everybody walking up.
That's what I love about you guys. You are who you are.
I'm the same person.
You absolutely are. You know, and I can read people pretty good, and it's just like, you know, sitting around with family, just talking.
Y'all know how uncomfortable I got down there earlier. She'll tell you. I was back up in the corner over here. When he was giving out the posters for everybody to sign, people started walking to me, wanting me to sign their posters. It was weird as crap to me because I'm not famous. I never have been famous, never wanted to be famous. I'm the same person that on air that I'm in anywhere else that you meet me.
People respect you for your honesty and for your knowledge.
Well, this is the thing. Lying to me, I can't remember the truth at times. So lying to me is just, it's not worth the time.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag. I'm really one of your reptilian overlords.
Okay.
I knew it.
Okay, hold on. You remember what happened to the last reptile that got around me?
Oh, you should for that.
But this is the thing. That's like not too long ago. I had people. Yeah, I asked for donations and stuff on my channel to help fund some of the stuff that I do. Y'all don't know. She's seen it. I get, why are you making so much money off YouTube? So I did a show where I showed exactly what my channel makes. You tell me any other YouTuber that does that.
Right.
I think that one you showed, you can't buy a pack of cigarettes with.
No. I spend hold on. We went to Casadega a couple weeks ago. We spent almost $500 to go do that crappy ass little outing. That was nothing but a cult. My channel this last month did make $475. I spent more than my whole channel.
Exactly. You guys put so much time.
Well, that's the thing. I just bought a new camera to take pictures down here. We spent $200 on the camera.
But the thing is that with him and with Truth and Bass, Don, John, they're telling the truth.
Yes.
The truth doesn't bring all those views and subscribers where storytelling does. So someone like DW who makes $20,000 a month.
See, I've got no time for that.
That's a lot of money.
My time is too precious, and I'm pretty good about filtering out the BS, and go to the sources.
Right on.
I said,
go to the true sources.
If I tell you something, it's the truth that I knew it then. If I found out later, it bothers me to the point where I have to tell you, hey, I'm wrong.
I screwed up.
Yeah, I screwed up. Yeah, I'm human.
See, that's the trouble with today's society. They won't own crap.
Talk about DW. Will he own up to
No, they flip it around on you.
What does he do?
Get pissed off at you for calling him out on it.
Yes.
Completely annihilate you.
Exactly.
He will annihilate. Look what he did to John.
Exactly.
He annihilated John.
I found out what kind of
so
person Walt was when he was the one that called me up out of the blue, wanted to know if I got refunded off of that subscription deal.
That's great.
Tell the truth.
Talk about drama.
Well, to me, it's just doing the right thing.
Yeah.
I'm here because of a little elderly black woman in Mississippi who pulled her car over when she got a flat tire. And what happened?
What happened?
She died. Well,
What?
Well, she come up missing. They still don't know what the hell happened to her.
What?
Her body has never been found.
She called 911, said she got a flat tire, asked for a deputy to come out there and change her tire. Deputy shows up. She's gone. There's a big pile of blood going, drug off into the wood line.
And they
What?
never found her body.
Why are you here?
And what? How did they cover that up?
Where did you?
Because who's going to tell her story? Who's going to stand up for her?
Amen. See,
And
right
who's going
there.
to warn people that that happens?
See, this is the thing. You know how many people have tried to get different stuff out of me, like Booker Valley and all that stuff.
So let's glorify Dogman. Let's tell glorified Dogman stories in Louisiana. Let's tell glorified Dogman stories and make money off of them. When that lady's still missing, and blood is all over the road and drug up into the woods. And where's her family?
This is the thing.
What does her family think about what
Have
happened?
you heard lately about DW? I'm sick and tired of talking about Dogman. I've talked about Dogman.
Oh man, I remember one time I did a little deep dive.
What's he gonna talk about
You know
now?
how much I
What he's
did
doing
missing
is bringing
people
in,
in Louisiana and like
about-
Mississippi area? You'd be surprised what the hell comes
yeah.
up on that shit. Like
Like the
cars
411
being
side.
left on the
He
side
was
of the
on
road,
Dog
doors
Man
wide
Cams
open,
for-
nobody
for-
being found.
For a year.
Yeah.
He built a job. When you left Dog Man Cams, how many subscribers did you have?
5,000?
All right. He
Plus.
built that channel from nothing to 5,000. Hold on. He never monetized that channel. He never made a dime off that channel.
Why?
As soon,
I
hold
never
on,
missed a show.
hold on. As soon as DW took that from him, gave it to DDoS, the very same night they started trying to monetize it. There's a little dirty secret that they don't know. I don't care.
You think this man gives a rip?
Oh no!
John knows this and a couple other people. You can't monetize something you don't own.
Who owns Dogman Camp?
I own the fucking LLC. to it.
Vault owns?
I own the LLC to it. I own the fucking copyright to
We never knew that. We thought DW owned
Wait,
it.
wait,
No,
wait,
you
no.
did not.
I think I knew
it.
that.
That's why whenever they tried to throw it up and get it monetized, it couldn't go nowhere.
That's
It kept
weird.
getting cooked out.
I
Did
knew it.
DW tell them?
He knew it.
I knew it.
Did DDoS know that?
No.
No.
They thought that they were going to sham him.
Mm-hmm.
Is that why DDoS isn't on there anymore?
All right, so it's
I
time for you
can't-
to get back up on that horse.
I can't speak for DDoS. And
DDoS got led around a lot by a lot of promises and a
Yep.
bunch of other stuff.
That's right. I think DDoS got caught up in the middle of it all.
That's a
And
shame.
he called me and we aired things out with each other. And he was like, "Man, I didn't mean to and I believe in what he said, but it was Dark Waters that decided that he wanted me gone and he was just gonna give it to
What is
DDoS.
Darkwater's real name? James?
James Wilson, Williams.
Is it William? No, it's not Williams, is it?
Yes, Williams. James
Oh.
Williams.
How come he never goes by his real name?
Who?
Well, Dark Waters is cool.
He does every now and then.
I've heard him put it out there.
He does. Lately, he's been.
He's been doing it
This is
more.
Dark Waters.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's fine. Like I said,
He's a great
oh,
story.
y'all don't
And he's
realize.
been putting up a lot of
Oh,
shorts.
the night that I did a show with him, y'all know how I lost a bunch of subscribers that night because I can't believe you're backstabbing DDoS and this and look. I didn't backstab nobody. First thing, if you want to go by that, y'all know this. I think he does and a couple others. There's this other channel called Mogollon Monsters. Him and this other channel that I ain't gonna name and a couple others. They don't like me. They've made memes about her. They've made memes about me. Guess who was backing them? This did it a month before I did a show with him. He's over there promoting their channel, Mogollon Monsters. This is the same channel he went over there and called a lady Miss Piggy on.
From Hoodwinks.
Yeah, hoodwinks and hoaxers.
Yeah.
I don't like her either, but that's beside the point.
That's not professional.
Right.
No,
right,
it was
right, right.
But now he's over there promoting them, and everybody want to say, "Well, Devon, you're backstabbing Dita." Well, we're
Pine
going
Island
by
Research.
if
Yeah.
we're going by that
I
motive.
listened to that episode. I was like 10 minutes late, but you were on fire that episode.
Yeah,
Oh, thank you.
if we're going by that, because I brought John on and gave John a platform. Me and John's been friends way before I even brought my channel back out. I wasn't even on YouTube when me and him struck our deal. Nothing else. Like I said, I've been friends with him. I call him all the time. before, after he's went on, everything else.
We talk about guns.
Yeah, 90% of the time it's guns.
90% of the time we talk guns into the late hours.
Yeah, but if we're going by, I backstabbed DW because I brought John on and gave him a platform to tell the truth of what happened. Okay, well, what about these people that have not only made meme channels, these people have made channels where they talk about they're going to come to this conference and they're going to beat my ass.
Yep.
Jeez.
There's a chat. Yeah, I'm still waiting. There's supposedly today I was supposed to get my ass kicked by like 9 different people.
But wait a minute.
Oh, that might be tomorrow.
Tell me where that's going down.
might be tomorrow.
I'm going to air
see
that.
But if we're gonna vet people out, let's talk about DW's credentials. Let's talk about his resume, his CV. What he talked about being in politics. He talked about.
Oh, he's done it all.
He's talked about vetting people and for politicians out.
I know he can answer a phone like nobody else.
So is that his true resume?
Well, if he's doing all kinds of shady stuff, he probably is involved in politics.
Well, I
somewhere.
thought he worked for like his insurance.
His dad's insurance company. He's the secretary.
He's a secretary of his father's insurance
I
company.
tell you, it's
Okay,
a
so
shame. It's a shame
Politics,
because
insurance.
he's a very gifted storyteller.
Yeah, he can talk.
He
now.
really is. He
Can talk.
And I really looked up to him, and I
He can
appreciate
talk like
it.
a preacher.
Yeah.
He can rip you down like you're Satan himself.
Yep.
Like I said, I found out certain thing wasn't true, and I haven't listened to him once.
He built up a whole persona in DW that is fake.
I haven't listened to him once.
Yeah, and he plays the Christian card.
He does always
Another
try
thing,
to do
see-
that.
It
Yes,
pisses
he
me
does.
off when people do that. And
But yet he goes to his.
He's a Christian that goes to Bloody Mary for help.
voodoo.
Another thing is, y'all know how many times I've been named by a bunch of. I'm DW's pit bull because every time he'd go start a fight, guess who would have to come get in the middle of it? Because, like I said, I don't care. Look, same thing I told him. I'll tell everybody out here. I'm going to apologize because if we sit here long enough, I will say something to offend you. I'm not trying to. It's just me.
It's just going to happen.
It's going to be me.
But you know what? I think people damn need to be offended today.
Well,
I mean, something's got to wake you
People
up.
need to get their feelings hurt. Stop being babied over there.
That's it. No one gives a crap
now,
about my
boys,
feelings. I promise you
We're
that.
all winners and we all get a trophy.
Hi,
Now
Peter
that's
John.
how it is.
Well, I mean, like the liberal snowflakes, they don't care about my feelings. They only care that you bow down to their communist will, and I don't play that.
Let me tell you something. John can vouch for this. I've done a lot of crap for my country. Good,
And
bad, and
thank you
ugly.
for it.
I've died twice for my country and came back.
Did you see any lights?
No, but no, it wasn't no lights. I was in a field with my grandfather.
Well, that's awesome.
Oh, how.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember you talking about
And this is. I'll tell the story about her in just a minute. This is the thing. Like I said, with all that crap that I've done, I've had my face surgically put back together before. I've got a metal plate in my face.
Shrapnel?
No, I had my face ripped apart by a radio and an IED blast. I lost my best friend.
God.
I've lost a lot of friends. I alluded to this earlier. Part of our contract was we were supposed to be paid a certain amount of money for the rest of our lives. I haven't received a dime since February of this year because when Biden took office and they got rid of a lot of the black site programs, that's where we get paid out of. Oh, we don't care about you. Not
Toss your side.
only did I lose my retirement, I lost. They shut all our medical off. I have no medical, have no nothing.
Yeah, no retirement.
Okay,
No
let
retirement.
me ask you this.
And I guarantee when they shut that down, they don't tell what all that.
Oh, no, it just goes away. It's gone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
that money's not, that money's not
nothing
gone.
off out of their back.
That
No.
money's not
benefits.
gone. That money went to another program.
Oh, I know it went to another program, but like I said, this
I
is
went
the
to
thing.
Ukraine.
that. Well, they probably went to pocketing their own program.
This is the thing.
That went to flying Pelosi's ass over to
See, I don't even qualify. See, I don't even qualify for VA because I was never a soldier. I was a private military contractor.
See, this
You're not
is
missing
what
anything with the VA.
Yeah.
There's a lot of horror stories about people trying to deal with the VA.
I don't even.
Oh, it's my dad. And see, that's the other thing. If I really wanted to be famous, all I had to do was tell everybody who my dad is.
I'm waiting for the chat.
I never,
Who's your dad?
ever,
Who's your dad?
ever
Who's your
wanted to
dad?
be famous in none of this stuff. The stuff I did overseas, I didn't do it because I wanted medals and stuff like that. I've gotten plenty of medals. I've been awarded plenty of medals. They don't mean nothing to me. I did it for the me.
There's a video that came out recently, and it's supposed to be a video of Joe Biden doing an interview. He blinked once and then didn't blink again for 17 minutes.
He was just.
He didn't blink again for 17 minutes. That is the craziest thing I've seen.
There was an old video of Bill Clinton where he was on a television show
doing the makeup and he looked like a zombie.
Yeah, and it was
He did that really well.
it was